I don't know if you guys can hear me. But my you guys hear? Can you guys hear me? Okay. All right. I'm using my mobile hotspot right now. Yeah. So I get home, everything's fine. And about 15 minutes before the show at 6:30 Central, all of a sudden shit ain't loading right on my computer. So then I look over. Oh no, it's a beautiful day, Pam. No storms at all. I look over and my fucking router keeps blinking red, then blue, then red, then blue, then red. Every 15-20 seconds it flip-flops back and forth. So I contact the cable company. We reset everything. Everything was fine. Literally, as soon as I hang up the phone, my frickin' router goes back to red. So then, I went ahead and changed the time to 6:45. Call back. Yeah, we reset the router. Reset it about 5 times, actually. Yeah, I just got a new router. So I contact the cable company and they say, oh, yeah, we're definitely going to have to send out a technician. You're getting really bad signals. I said, yeah, I am, aren't I? So I was like, you know what? It's worth a shot. I'm going to try and do it. So I try and go live, and then you see that freaking disaster in the beginning. And then as I keep trying and I keep trying and I keep trying, and it just keeps cutting off, and then I just can't even load nothing. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to have to go mobile. And it's kind of a good thing that this is happening in a small way, because now I get to figure out what the fuck I'm going to do in the future if I'm not even able to use my laptop. What if I have to use just my mobile phone? Starlink? Oh, this is so frustrating. All right, so we're going to try and do it on mobile hotspot today. So I apologize if it's all fucked up, but it's the best that I can do. I keep looking at my router and that thing is blinking red. So I'm not going to be able to have anybody come out until between 2 and 3 tomorrow. And so hopefully everything is better after that. Fingers crossed, right? So who knows? I was planning on doing a live again, but I'm going to have to scratch it for another visit from the cable company. So that's 2 Fridays now where I don't get to do what I was planning on doing. But what can I do? That's the earliest I can get somebody out here. So I'll go ahead and be available for that. And hopefully tomorrow night's show, everything will be fine. Yeah. I mean, I was planning on having a Henrietta episode tomorrow, just like last week. But both of those are being scratched. So now I'm probably going to have to do another one on a Saturday. Because I just, all these cases, you can't fall behind. I mean, it's just so crazy. So I'm going to make an attempt to get through all the chat. So I apologize if I missed some of it. So I want to say what's up to SRB, Coat, Kib Kitty, Grizz, what's up? Not tonight. Shit. Lada Dog, how you doing? Maddie Dump, Dylan's driving. I'm telling you, there's some different theories we're going to explore today, Lada Dog. There's definitely some different theories. I'm going to play I was watching Drunk Turkey show this afternoon, and there was an interesting call. Somebody had called in, actually 2 of them, but there was an interesting call I want to check out, see what you guys think. You can throw a Hot Wheel. Oh, jeez. Yeah, if you have it, send it to me, whether it's a screenshot or a link. Demetrius Delivery States performing review. It's crazy, the backgrounds and stuff. Definitely sub to Grizz for that badass intro. What's up, Melissa? Kib Kitty. Alright, he said Kib Kitty. Kevin, you working tonight, Kevin? You're going to like this theory because it's kind of like what you were talking about, dude. If you haven't hit like, please do. Yeah, you're going to like this phone call, Kevin. What's up, Ray? Kind of goes along with your theory. SRB, we need to do your theory again, too, sometime. And we got to do some practice StreamYard for you. And then maybe if this shit happens in the future and you're able to do some screen share, we could do it that way. Yes, technical issues. I apologize. Hopefully everything's fine right now. Now I'm going off a mobile hotspot, so you know. We'll see what happens when we start playing some videos and stuff. We'll see what happens. Cassie, sorry, I'm all out of it right now. Sorry if I said hello already. No storms. Let me see. I'll have to send him off. You want me to send him to Grizz, Cassie? Starlink, huh? What's up, Unseen? You had some good points in Crime Lines live earlier. There was some good points in that live earlier. I got back to the show after I had stepped away because I was working on something on the floor, and then I got back over to my area, and then I was like, "Oh shit, what happened?" But I was listening. Really good points on there. Really good theories. It was a good listen. What's up, Patty? Sing happy birthday to LA? I don't sing happy birthday. To who? All right, let me see here. We'll see what happens when I play a video. All right, there's a couple things I wanted to share real quick. And I was on Twitter last night, and I thought this was a pretty interesting post from Sleuthy Goosey. Let me see here. Hopefully everything goes okay with the mobile hotspot. All right, so I thought this was a really good post. She does amazing work too. So she tweeted, Exoneration. Is it screen sharing? I don't never freaking remember because StreamYard's always fucked up anymore. Hell, it might not be StreamYard being buggy. It might be my fucking internet. Shit, I'm all out of it. Hold on a second. I didn't even open up freaking panel. What's up, Chris? What's up, Truthful Soul? All right, there's that. Let me change the sign. All right, there we go. All right, so it says here, exoneration, a person who has been exonerated if he or she was convicted of a crime and following a post-conviction re-examination of the evidence in the case was relieved of all the consequences of the criminal conviction and either was declared to be factually innocent by a government official or agency with the authority to make that declaration. What the fuck do you guys think about that? And I'm going to be a little bit slow to... You know what? Let me see if I can do mobile hotspot and have StreamYard up. Because I usually use my phone for my chat feed. And it's really throwing me off. I don't have my chat feed. So let me see how it let me know how I sound after I get into StreamYard on my mobile too. I apologize about all this. All right. Man, this is throwing me off. This shit's crazy. I sound much better than normal. Yeah, I mean, I think it's been this crappy connection somewhere is why there's been a lot of bugginess lately. Maybe it wasn't, but everybody else is having issues with StreamYard too, see? See, now, like right now, it says I only had like one bar. So it looks like it's not a good thing. So let me get out of StreamYard because all of a sudden the connection started getting low. So let's get rid of that. Thank you for your patience. All right, we're just going to do that. Let's see if that is better. What's up, Dre? He thinks he can beat the charges for some reason. Yeah, exactly. So this is what I'm wondering, right? So when he was arrested in PA, his public defender in PA said BK was adamant that he said he couldn't wait to get back to be exonerated. Specifically, those words. So, was he one of those people that tries to talk smart but uses big words and he doesn't know the meaning exactly? And he just threw a word out there, but you would have to think that he did know what it meant, considering that's what he was studying. So was he telling everybody that he couldn't wait to get convicted of a crime to then be let go? Please get T-Mobile. Dude, I'm going off mobile hotspot right now because my internet at home, the 500 gig, fucking ain't doing shit. It's blue right now. But just wait, it'll flash red in a second. It likes to do that for about 20 seconds tonight, and then it flashes red. So tonight we'll be going off a mobile hotspot. So I apologize. But hey, I'm here. It was either not do it or do mobile hotspot. So I'm doing mobile hotspot. Because we got game night tomorrow, and I ain't trying to miss game night. So, yeah, I need to think about something in the event that I can only go off mobile phone. Maybe we'll just have a discussion evening or something. Talking about stuff. That would be kind of neat. No articles, no videos, just chit chat and open panel. I don't even know if you can do open panel when you're on mobile StreamYard. I don't think you can. I think you can only do it when you're doing on the PC. Yeah, he's got to know his words unseen. He's got to. Well, let's fingers crossed, because if these people come out tomorrow and for some reason, who knows? Because it's never 100%. Let's just hope. Because I can't do it off mobile hotspot. I know that. That shit wouldn't work, I don't think. All that different internet being pulled, my phone would be burning. And then all of a sudden, I wouldn't even be able to look up nothing on Google because I used up all my data. You've been watching drunk Karens getting arrested for DUI? Oh my gosh. Let's see. What'd you say, Kevin? If you want to do game night Saturday, you can get crafted. Well, that is your night off, ain't it? Uh-oh. I see my bar's dropping on here. We're going to try and make it tonight. We're going to try and make it. Yeah, so you got to hear this phone call on the Drunk Turkey show. It was very interesting. So if anybody wants to hop up, you're more than welcome. I just wanted to share this from Sleuthy Goosey real quick. I thought it was a really great post. Appreciate all her hard work. Telling you, just amazing work. So here is, let me see here. And then I'll share her Twitter handle if you're on Twitter. Definitely give her a follow. A lot of great documents, a lot of great opinions and thoughts. But an amazing follow on Twitter. Great information. All right, so I'm going to go to this drunk turkey call here. We'll get that set up in a second. Now, I've been hearing a lot. We obviously all know that Koberger's parents are having to, do some statements and grand jury stuff and show up. They couldn't fight it, but I'm hearing a lot about how there's not even a connection. So that's one reason I'm not really talking about it. But it is floating around out there. I figure I'll give it a day or two. See what happens with it. This is really bugging me. I can't see my chat feed on my phone. So while I'm doing all this and getting all this ready, I really have no idea if you guys are saying anything. So just give me a minute or so here. All right, let me get that video up. Now, this is a drunk turkey show. Now, somebody called in. Very interesting theory. Is it going to let me or what? Oh my gosh, this is crazy. I'm trying to make this work here. Yeah, definitely. Chris, I think Justice did an episode on that, right, Kel? Deal with Amber. Amber. Aw. Yeah, I'm not sure who you're talking about. Oh, what's up with the case? Oh, Amber Heard. I don't know. I don't pay attention to Amber Heard. All right. No, I really have no idea. I know Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Whoa, I know Johnny Depp had that court case or whatever like a while ago, but other than that, I really don't.
You know, so I'm just I want to hear about the investigation.
All right, let me rewind it. It was at the 32-minute mark. So I'll go ahead and put the link in chat if you want to save it for your playlist. And it's at the 32-minute mark of the video where it goes into some of the theories. Damn, the connection is slow. I might only be able to have like a tab open. Give me 1 1 second. All right, we'll see if that's better. There, that looks like it's better. All right, so let me go do this. Yeah, check out this theory. It was pretty interesting.
But the stream is in there.
Then here's the link.
If you guys want to join.
If you want to save it for your playlist.
Let me change this real quick. Let me try something. Try to call with the guy that was calling me back.
Hello.
Hey, is this Tony?
Yeah.
Hey, Tony. Sorry about that. I don't know what was going on with my phone here.
That's all right, bro. You see my message that said drunk turkey outwitted by a phone?
Yeah, I saw that. We got a couple minutes. What is your question?
Yeah, to be very honest with you, that interview from that girl that went into Jack in the Box for JLR. Those weird dudes that were answering questions just seemed more credible to me. They didn't seem witted enough to be liars or fabricators. Okay.
Right.
So I sort of fall to the idea that in fact it was a woman that did the DoorDash, and only because I believe that it was Emma Bailey. And she went to that home and knew that home was empty. I think that she was a scout, that she was able to confirm that house was empty except for the occupants. That's what I think took place. I don't think Brian Kohlberger killed anybody. I think he was a driver. And I really think, honestly, it was either drug cartels that control the drug trade in that town, or it was that kid that got shot and killed by the police, that crazy kid, Fred, that went nuts. I think, and that ties to Brian, and I think, it also ties to Emma and her boyfriend. I mean, it's very hard to slice down 4 people quietly like that. We've got stuff that came up on, they admit, came from video cameras 50 feet away.
Right.
Man, I don't know. I've had a very violent past. 30 years ago, I was quite the criminal, but to kill 4 people like that just doesn't seem plausible for someone like Kohlberger, unless he's an accomplished guy that we don't know about. He'd have to be a Ted Bundy.
Right. I mean, that's quite possible. I mean, either way or both. You know what I'm saying? That Kohlberger is a Ted Bundy type, or.
So, what do you guys think? What do you think about what he just said? Thank you, SRB. I'm going to play that again. Kevin, are you listening, man? Just wait, he gets it. The call lasts about 10 minutes or so, and then him and Truth and Transparency start talking about it after that. Just like I said, I was listening to this earlier today when it was live, and I was like, damn, that was a great fucking call. And then there's another one. I wrote the timestamp down somewhere. I'll find it. Just very interesting. I'm gonna turn down the music a little bit too. I know it's kind of hard to hear. I do have it on full blast though.
Join the panel. Now, you don't have to have your camera on during the while you're on the show, but you will have to have your camera on during the when you go into the back room. I need to make sure you're not some kind of weirdo trying to show us things we don't want to see.
Right.
That's
why I authenticate. You got to.
But the stream is in there. If you guys want to join. Let me change this real quick. Let me try something. Try to call the guy that was calling me back.
Hello.
Hey, is this Tony?
Yeah.
Hey, Tony. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on with my phone here.
That's all right, bro. You see my message that said drunk turkey outwitted by a phone?
Yeah. I saw that. We got a couple minutes. What is your question?
Yeah, to be very honest with you, that interview from that girl that went into Jack in the Box for JLR. Those weird dudes that were answering questions just seemed more credible to me. They didn't seem witted enough to be liars or fabricators. Okay.
Right.
So I sort of fall to the idea that in fact it was a woman that did the DoorDash, and only because I believe that it was Emma Bailey. And she went to that home and knew that home was empty. I think that she was a scout, that she was able to confirm that house was empty except for the occupants. That's what I think took place. I don't think Brian Kohlberger killed anybody. I think he was a driver. And I really think, honestly, it was either drug cartels that control the drug trade in that town, or it was that kid that got shot and killed by the police, that crazy kid, Brett.
Right.
That went nuts. I think, and that ties to Brian, and I think, it also ties to Emma and her boyfriend. I mean, it's very hard to slice down 4 people quietly like that. We've got stuff that came up on, they admit, came from video cameras 50 feet away.
Right.
Man, I don't know. I've had a very violent past. 30 years ago, I was quite the criminal, but to kill 4 people like that just doesn't seem plausible for someone like Kohlberger, unless he's an accomplished guy that we don't know about.
What's up, Kib Kitty?
Hey, how's it going? Other than your tech stuff.
Yeah. Right. So what do you think?
Oh man, it just throws another wrench in it. I don't know what to think anymore.
Well, I kind of, when we started talking, and I'll get to chat here in a second. Sorry, my chat feed, I don't have it except for on the screen. When we started talking about Emma Bailey and kind of what's been going on with that, I was like, maybe she was. But then these 2 gentlemen that JLR had, I can't remember who it was, went and talked to those guys, some lady. We heard the phone or the recording where they were asking them questions, talking about it and such. And they state that the driver was a male. And that he was somebody that got fired because he kept eating people's deliveries. So,
oh wow,
I don't know. I mean, when it comes to, somebody at work was asking me today, they were like, because we were listening to it, and he was like, so what do you think it is? Do you think it's I said, honestly, can you really trust the people that are working there? If you got, now, if it was multiple people that stated it was a female, the same description or whatever, then sure.
Right.
But when you got one group of people saying it was a female with dark hair and, all this other stuff, and then you got somebody else saying it was a male with, that got fired for eating the food and all this, then it's just like, I don't know. So it's like, you know what? He said, who do you, I said, I honestly don't know. And I was like, I don't even know how you would really know for sure until the trial, because you could go back in there and they could say, yeah, it was a girl with blonde hair.
Right.
You know, so you really won't know.
No.
Now, what this guy's saying about, you know, Emma possibly being involved with their boyfriend, how they were scoping out the house. You know, how, because we all thought she was over there.
Who, that Emma?
Yeah. We all thought she, you know, had the scarf, you know, and all that other stuff walking out of the...
Oh, yeah.
Walking out of the house on the body cam.
Right.
So, and this gentleman, and then there is other people that feel that she's also been there. So it's like, well, you know, maybe it was. And then, like, we heard, you know, from Real Harsh last night, and he was talking about, what if BK was duped into being a driver? Then you start introducing that, and it's like, yeah, that. And then Kevin's theory.
I don't know what to think anymore.
You know, he's Kopaka. You know, we've talked about Kopaka. It's like, you know, could he have easily been a driver, like what Kevin was saying?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, like ad libs, you know. I mean, he brings up a good point, though. Like, as we'll get into the phone call, you'll hear, and it's like, yeah, it's definitely a possibility. He was upstairs waiting on, came downstairs and came in. Yeah, well, listen to what this gentleman's, you know, I'm telling you, it was a great show today. It was a really good listen. So save it.
I must have missed the I must have missed the JLR thing where that girl went in, or lady went in to talk to him.
That was on one of our shows, I think, last week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it was one of our shows from last week. Shit, there's a lot of episodes on this one, Kelt. I've been talking a lot about Idaho for a little more than I've wanted to. I've wanted to get back to some of the other cases, but I will be. This weekend, I already have a show for Henrietta planned out in my head. So I'll be doing that this weekend. I'll be doing a Henrietta show. I was actually going to do it tomorrow afternoon, and then that's scratched, so I can have the internet fixed, hopefully. So yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. You know, and it's like, you know, and then they bring up, and you'll hear some different theories in this too. You'll hear how possibly there was a weapon, and maybe that's why nobody said nothing. Somebody else brought up another good theory, maybe because the LE doesn't have to tell the truth, you know. So they could have came out and said, yeah, nobody was bound, and you know, nobody was bound, but really, and somebody brought up a great point, what if the two girls were bound? Because when you think about, there's no blood trail going from the sliding glass door to the outside, right? So it's always like, what the fuck what could they have done to like totally not leave a trace behind, not a drip, not a smudge? And then you start to think, what if they did walk out that door where the parking lot is? What if they did? What if BK did see DM with the door cracked and was scared and in a hurry and just bound and locked the door? What if he had walked downstairs and bound BF and walked out the door? But then you start to think, well, if somebody did that, well, then if they already did 4, why are they gonna just bind them and threaten them and lock the door and leave? So it's kind of like, but then I think we were lied to by, right. Oh, the coroner changing her story 3 or 4 times, Patty. I remember when we were first covering the case when it first happened. That's right when I started my show, and the changing each week. It was like, I think she did one interview, and then it was like a Thursday, then didn't do nothing Friday, and then Saturday came out with another one, if I remember correctly, for 2 of them. And I was just like, wait a minute, on Thursday you were just saying something else, and now you're saying this on Saturday? So yeah, I mean, it could be a possibility, right? You know,
right.
what if they were bound? But then it's like, why wouldn't he have just, I don't know. But then another theory that was brought up about, and I totally would understand why it took somebody 8 hours to call, right? Because when we're going through the tour, okay, Ethan and Zaina are in the 1 bedroom. Ethan's on the bed, Zaina's on the floor. You go to the bedroom upstairs, both the girls are laying in bed, right? So what if BK or whoever committed this crime committed the crime in that room and then locked the door when they left, so nobody could get in to see, so all they did know was an unconscious? What if the person that committed the crime locked the doors of the rooms after they committed the crime, so you could sit there as a friend and knock, 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 knock. Nobody's answering. I see a little bit. Yeah, we have talked about it in the beginning, but I'm just saying, one of the theories that I heard today on the show. We're not going to listen to the whole show. I just wanted to play this one call. But it was another theory. And I think that's the one that would make more sense. That's the one of a person calling for an unconscious person, because if the door is locked, you don't know if they're dead or sleeping or knocked out or unconscious or what. Now, maybe that's why you called the friends over before you called Ellie, because you wanted your friends to come over and see what was going on before you even called the cops, because the cops have already been called to the property so many times. I'm sure it was probably at that point where somebody was going to get in trouble. No, they were found inside the bedroom. The male was found on the bed and the female was found on the floor cup. I think the deal with the coroner is that she's a big fish, and right, but unseen. Check out her background. Check out her background, right? See who she represented while also being the coroner for the case that she was. Trust me, it don't look good. I mean, yeah, the very small, small area, you know what I'm saying? I get all that, but dude, you got to look at her background. You got to see the cases with the conflict of interest, and you'll be like, that's what that was allowed? Trust me. Trust me. What's up, Butterfly Kisses? No. He was on the bed, she was on the floor. And then the two girls upstairs were did she represent one of the parents? Who are you talking about?
The coroner.
No, it was it wasn't one of the parents. It was a gentleman that was involved in committing a crime against another human where they passed, and she was the coroner of it. Like seriously, if you look it up, you'll see what I'm talking about. Because I remember when what was it? There was like a conflict of interest thing that was coming up, and we were looking it up. What was it? Oh my gosh, it was so long ago. This was in the very beginning, because when she kept changing her story, we were like, who the hell is this lady? So we started looking up her background. It was in the very beginning of the show. We started looking up her background, and that's when we came across all the shit. And it was like a conflict of interest, big time. So then we started looking up, there was like interviews about it and stuff with the local news. And on the local news interviews, they interviewed another attorney from in that area, because somebody was raising questions about if it was a conflict of interest and if it should even be allowed to happen. And so they interviewed this other attorney from the area, and he was on camera, and he was like, what's the conflict of interest? I don't know. Somebody would, because they were like, do you feel this is a conflict of interest? And he was like, what's the conflict of interest? You'd have to tell me what the conflict is, and then I would have to let you know if it. He was like, I don't know, everything that you're explaining to me is perfectly normal. And then we were all like, what the fuck? This shit's perfectly normal up there? And then it was like, yeah, it's such a small community. They have to do this and this and this, and they have to, they have to intermingle and this and that and go, work here, do that. I'm like, where's the justice? Like, what about the family that's trying to get justice for their loved one? And then you got the coroner representing the fucking defendant? What the fuck?
Right.
Seriously. I mean, it was back in November. Yeah, because we were like, what the hell is this late? It was like the fourth week. Yeah, the last week of November, I think, is when we were starting to look it up. It was crazy. But yeah, so this is a very interesting call. It's about 10 minutes, and then him and Truth and Transparency talk for a little bit. Then I got some Kopaka videos I want to share with you guys. There's an Emma Bailey video that I want to share with you guys. I'm really just, what do you guys think? Do you think Emma and Demetrius are part of it? Do you think Koberger could have been just duped into driving the vehicle? Do you think that he thought he was like a master manipulator where he could, be the person that was like kind of the lookout, but just, he was the one that set it up in his head, and the other people were his little, he was just kind of manipulating the situation, like he was the grand master of it all, and he was the one pulling the strings, but he wanted to be there to watch it all go down, even though he wasn't participating in it other than planning it. There's a lot of shit out there right now. But I definitely ain't saying he broke into somebody's freaking property and moved shit around so then he could set up surveillance so he could watch her. I ain't saying that shit. You think the mom might be involved, Kip Kitty?
No. No. Patty was saying,
it's just crazy.
You know, that one of the victim's mom had a long drug history, and I just said that was Zena's mom.
Oh. Well, I've heard that too, where people think that, but I don't think so.
Yeah,
I've heard that. I've heard that, but I don't think so.
I was just saying
crazy.
Sorry.
It's crazy. You think they would have like an alternate or something? Like,
right.
I just couldn't believe it when we saw it. I was just like, damn, that's crazy shit. Like,
I wouldn't be happy if I was the victim's families with that situation.
Like some Stephen Smith shit, you know, where they're like fucking twisting
right.
shit. Oh no, you know, no. But the pathologist, I think that's the ultimate. The coroner can just suggest. No, I don't think it was anything. I don't know. I'm not saying it was, not that it was involved with drugs. I don't think it was either, SRB. I'm wondering, because it wasn't just drugs, it was robberies too. And that's what I think they mean by scoping at the house when they're talking about it, is they mean for a robbery, not a deal. But I've heard that, Pam. I mean, you know of all the people that are passing away from ODs up there. But it's all over. It's an epidemic.
Right, it's bad everywhere.
It is. It's bad everywhere. I mean, gosh, I remember that one year where it was like, when was that? Like 2015, 2016 or something? When people, they were having to get like semi-trailers because the morgue couldn't hold enough. It was just happening so quick. And there was so many people, and it's just like, dang. And it's like ever since then, it is. There's so many epidemics right now. You know, you got the schools need to be like, I mean, my gosh, not only for the SOs, but for the shooters.
Right.
You know, that shit's the government needs to step up. Because you can't expect these small communities to be paying for that when they can barely, you know, then you're going to see schools closing down left and right. You know, you can't do that because then the classes are too full and then the students aren't able to learn. Like, because you got to be able to ask questions. Yeah, I don't think it was anything to do with the deal. Oh, I'm sure it's crazy because, I mean, hell, we hear about them all the time. Yeah, we hear about it all the time. All right, so we're going to let this play. If anybody else wants to hop up, you're more than welcome. We're going to let this play through. It's about 10 minutes. We'll listen to what he has to say, and then we'll see what you guys think. It's just a really interesting call. I'll put the link to the video in chat, too, again, if you want to save it for your playlist.
Try to call with the guy that was calling me back.
Hello.
Hey, is this Tony?
Yeah.
Hey, Tony, sorry about that.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on with my phone here.
That's all right, bro. You see my message that said drunk turkey outwitted by a phone?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. We got a couple minutes. What is
exactly
your
unseen? It's scary shit too.
To be very honest with you, that interview from that girl that went into Jack in the Box for JLR. Those weird dudes that were answering questions just seemed more credible to me. They didn't seem witted enough to be liars or fabricators. Okay.
Right.
So I sort of fall to the idea that in fact it was a woman that did the DoorDash, and only because I believe that it was Emma Bailey. And she went to that home and knew that home was empty. I think that she was a scout, that she was able to confirm that house was empty except for the occupants. That's what I think took place. I don't think Brian Kohlberger killed anybody. I think he was a driver. And I really think, honestly, it was either drug cartels that controlled the drug trade in that town, or it was that kid that got shot and killed by the police, that crazy kid.
Kopaka.
Right.
That went nuts. I think, and that ties to Brian, and I think, it also ties to Emma and her boyfriend. I mean, it's very hard to slice down 4 people quietly like that. We've got stuff that came up on, they admit, came from video cameras 50 feet away.
Right.
Man, I don't know. I've had a very violent past. 30 years ago, I was quite the criminal, but to kill 4 people like that just doesn't seem plausible for someone like a Kohlberger, unless he's an accomplished guy that we don't know about. He'd have to be a Ted Bundy.
Right. I mean, that's quite possible. I mean,
I think he's whoa. Oh my gosh, YouTube. There we go. I don't think that's funny. I don't think he was I don't even know if he's a listener, a normal listener, or I don't think he's connected to the case. He states that he was a pretty hardcore criminal, I guess, type 20 or 40 years ago or something like that. So he's probably just using his street smarts, man. Probably just giving his opinion. I mean, I don't really necessarily believe the cartel stuff, when it comes to this part. But he definitely, I don't know. I feel like he's got some interesting thoughts. It could definitely be possible. I don't know. I mean, I guess the cartel stuff could be possible too. We all don't know because we're not in there. We're not in the case. We're not privy to all that information. But, we have to kind of look at all angles and kind of piece it together. It's a big 500-piece puzzle where all the pieces are kind of shaken up in the box, and you just kind of have to throw it on the floor and start taking little pieces from here and here and here until you get the beautiful scenery. People who don't fear ended up being I mean, it's like I was watching BTK's fucking confession on what's the 411 with Jay, and listening to him talk, like so calm and collected, and just like like maybe a grandpa would talk or something, just the voice, the what do you call it, just talking, and he's talking like he's talking about banana splits and shit, and really he's like sitting there saying, that was the first time I had ever strangled anybody. I wasn't sure how tight you had to squeeze her for how long. And I was just like, damn, dude. He's sitting there talking like, like he's sitting there talking like just calm and fucking like, watch it sometime. Seriously. Watch BTK's confession. And you'll be like, holy crap. Like this dude's, you would never even when he's saying the words that he's saying, the sick, twisted shit that he was doing. Even when he's saying that, if you're not if you're not like watching the video and you just kind of are listening to it and you're just like, wow, it's just crazy how normal they act. Yeah. Demeanor. Yeah, good word. Yeah, a bit, guys. Yeah, there's been some crazy theories, Patty. There's been even, I can't remember who it was. Somebody had even I think maybe it was you, Kevin Kraft. Let me know if it was you. I think Kevin Kraft even said about Kopaka, even said maybe BK had, that they had possibly worked to get, did this together. And he was the one, let me know if I'm right or wrong, Kevin, that Koberger was the one that called in the SWAT shit on Kopaka because he knew where his mental state was and he knew what would happen if SWAT showed up, which is basically what took place when they showed up.
Right.
I was like, huh, that's interesting. Let me know if that was you, Kevin. I want to make sure. Very twisted and stand-up citizen, yeah. I'm sorry for your loss, Butterfly. I know, you know what? SRB, if you're not busy, you got to hop up too. Tell us more about your theory because, man, your theory makes a lot of sense too, and I would like to redo that one too. All right, so we're going to go into the rest of this call. It's just another few minutes. But it's just, I don't know. I'm sitting there listening to it and I was like, dang, that is so interesting. All right. Maybe tomorrow night or something, we could take a few minute break and do it in the middle of a show. All right. Let's finish this up here. What I was saying about it. Yeah. Like, Kevin, if you're listening, let me know. I'm pretty sure it was Kevin. Because I was like.
Kevin said he thinks it was Cassie.
Oh, Cassie. Where's Cassie at?
I don't know.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like he knew his mental state. He knew what would happen when SWAT or LE shows up with weapons. Basically what took place. And it is also interesting that that's the only event that the father or BK talk about being pulled over in Indiana. They don't mention nothing about Idaho 4. It's about the SWAT incident in Pullman. Oh, the camping trip. I bet that's going to be so much fun. All right, let's get to the rest of this call. Very interesting.
I mean, either way or both. You know what I'm saying? That Koberger is a Ted Bundy type, or that what do you call it? That
Ted Bundy type.
It could be possibly somebody else. The Emma Bailey and Demetrius Robinson connection is interesting.
Oh, okay, Kevin. I'm sorry.
Dishonest if I said that. I don't think they've ever been to that, or at least Emma Bailey hasn't been to that house. It seems like, by all accounts of people that I've talked to and things of that nature, that they have.
Let me just say this: your touch DNA.
So he's talked to a lot of people from the area, and from what he's heard, they have been to the house. Emma and Demetrius.
That knife sheath was in the presence of Brian Koberger. That's the knife sheath.
No, this was I know that's a recent one that you brought up. This is a theory that was brought up like a month ago. Maybe a month and a half ago. It's been a little bit. Because it was like one of the first shows we started talking about Kopaka again since January, February. It was one of the videos we started talking about him again. So it was probably a good month and a half where it was first brought up. How does he jump to the knife sheath? What, the caller? Who knows? Here.
Just doesn't seem plausible for someone like Kohlberger, unless he's an accomplished guy that we don't know about.
Here's the link to
He'd have to be a Ted Bundy.
Right. I mean, that's quite possible. I mean, either way or both. You know what I'm saying? That Kohlberger is a Ted Bundy type, or that what do you call it? That it could be possibly somebody else. The Emma Bailey and Demetrius Robinson connection is interesting. Like, I would be dishonest if I said that I don't think they've ever been to that, or at least Emma Bailey hasn't been to that house. It seems like, by all accounts of people that I've talked to and things of that nature, that they have.
Let me just say this. Your touch DNA is the 500 million skin cells that you shed every day.
This is a good point.
Folks aren't aware of that. And let me just say that it's more than likely that whoever handled that knife sheath was in the presence of Brian Kohlberger.
He's basically saying touch DNA it's not even you touching the button snap. So let's look up the exact term of touch DNA, because what he is stating is that touch DNA is DNA that basically is your dead skin cells floating off in the breeze. Now, this right here says it is called touch DNA because it only requires very small samples, for example, from the skin cells left on an object after it has been touched or casually handled, or from footprints. So really, that is not a correct statement. Touch DNA, you actually touch. He's talking about it as you just have to be in the room and your dead skin cells are going to land on the button snap. Murdoch Steven. Yeah, I'll be having some Murdoch stuff coming up in the next week or so. We'll be talking Murdoch, the Mallory Beach stuff. I have some stuff saved on it. I've been saving for a while since Stephen Smith. But yeah, we'll be getting into that case in about a week or two. We'll be starting to get into that one. So that's the definition. So it is not you being in the same room. You actually have to touch it.
He says to me that Brian wasn't the killer, but Brian knows the killer. It looks to me like you look at the evidence. They go back and say for months they can show that guy was in that area on his cell pings, right?
So this is where I thought of you, Kevin, because of this kind of theory that he's talking about, how he wasn't necessarily involved, but he knows who was.
Right?
Right.
And when you connect that to the touch DNA, it shouldn't have been enough evidence for an arrest warrant, because you could prove the kid's been over there numerous times. Nobody was killed all those other times, right? Like a dozen times.
Right.
And because touch DNA is transferable, meaning your student could pick it up, a dog could pick it up, anybody in your car. And usually knife sheaths are held on a hip, right? They're held off a belt.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, I think that Brian brought somebody to that home. I think that Emma set it up so people knew, or at least Emma was the one that looked and knew that these people were there alone. There was no parties. Mm-hmm. The house was quiet, and people came in following her lead. And Brian came in minutes after the DoorDash driver left. That's just so coincidental, right?
Right. No,
I mean, there's just so many coincidences that stack up to say that this kid had something to do with it, knowingly or unknowingly. But as being a murderer, I honestly think didn't that kid Brett brag about killing terrorists in the middle of the night? Right. When he was in the Army, when he was in the service. I mean, that's what our service members do. They don't knock on your door at 8 in the morning.
Right.
They come in the wee hours of the morning when you're in your REM sleep, and the next thing you know, you're dead. You don't wake up, right?
Right.
Sadly, isn't that what it looks like happened here? Somebody with skill took these 4 individuals out.
I mean, I would assume so. It was somebody who has maybe some experience with the knife that man, and using it in a similar manner, because go to four people, there's bones, there's all those type of things. A lot of things can go wrong.
Yeah.
In that situation when you break a blade, the lead blade of the knife or whatnot, unless he had multiple. But I think I don't think that was the case.
I told you I was stabbed in the chest during a drug deal. Okay. And the zipper on my leather jacket saved my life.
Oh, wow.
You know the thing you grab to move your zipper up and down?
Yeah.
That little piece of metal was the difference between me and being dead or being on the phone with you today.
Wow.
So, when you do puncture someone to hit a bone, it does deflect the blade. So if you know where to hit somebody with that knife, which is under the sternum and up into the heart, there's nothing there to stop the blade from going. So if you know how to execute somebody with a knife, killing 4 people should be a walk in the park, as gross as that sounds.
Right.
And I don't see a Brian Kohlberger. Maybe, we'll find out. But I think there's also, my biggest argument is the fact that they went and got a PCA on a guy on evidence that's just shaky.
Yeah.
They already had evidence the kid was there, right? They should have actually went and got a straw or a cup or something from his schoolroom. They should have went to his teachers and said, listen, we got concerns. Can you show me his desk? They should have got a pen out. They should have saw his DNA that way, secretly, without a warrant, right? And then went and got a PCA. The way they did this, it looks like they got shaky evidence that's not even circumstantially provable, and they got an arrest, and then they went and got warrants. I think that's where Brian wins. Right. I just think they didn't do the investigation fairly.
No, I don't disagree with you there. I don't disagree with you there on the investigation aspect. I think that they did do a lot of things kind of weird, and I've been very vocal about the fact that I don't think they had enough to get the warrant for his phone pings.
Yeah.
Listen, I robbed a place one time and they found my fingerprints. Okay. And because I was a painter in that house, they couldn't use it against me, and they had to drop. They couldn't indict me.
Oh, wow.
You couldn't make the case that there wasn't a reason for my prints to be in that house. That's the problem. You see.
Right.
That's how the law is supposed to work. So because they couldn't make the case that my prints were somewhere they shouldn't have been, they can't indict you.
No, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Somebody can make a case for why it's there. It makes things difficult.
Right, and touch DNA, because you shed 500 million particles. That's what they had, like 8 to 20 microscopic particles. Yeah. That's what you use to get somebody off.
Right.
Believe it or not, touch DNA is used for a defense attorney 99.9% of the time, not for arrests and convictions. Unless you could show touch DNA across multiple victims, touch DNA is always used in a defense to get a wrongly convicted person out of jail.
Right.
And these lawyers and stuff, they know that. They should know that.
Whoa. I don't know why that dropped. Hey, Tony, if you're listening in, I'm not sure what happened. This happened to me the last time.
It is buggy.
Where it just drops the call after a few minutes.
Or it doesn't ring.
Let me, I'm just going to try to call him back real quick. Just let him know that wasn't. What happened? I'm not sure what happened. While I do that, I'm going to bring on. What's up, Lena? How's it going?
Morning, Tony.
Hey, Tony. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened. I just want to let you know I didn't hang up.
No. And you said about 2 or 3 minutes, so I thought they'd be on a timer.
No. He just kind of hung up. Like, it's been doing that to me here recently.
Oh, that's funny.
Dude, I timed out. But yeah, I think we see, I don't mind justice, and I want the poor kids that have been murdered like that. I don't care who did it, why. I'd like to see that person brought to justice and chopped up.
Right, exactly.
It's just horrific, right?
Hopefully fixed tomorrow.
Part of being American is questioning authority. If nothing else, I mean, that's the reason we're here. We don't just blatantly trust the government telling us.
Amen to that, brother.
We're not robots.
This is somebody that called in to the drunk. Oh my gosh, it just went backwards.
Bracelets, because he thinks.
This is somebody from the Drunk Turkey show that called in, and he had a pretty interesting. Some interesting theories there in the beginning about, and it made me think of Kevin when he was talking about maybe BK was knew the people that didn't or that did the crime but couldn't say it, or he was the peeping around, didn't want to be blamed for it type stuff. He did go into it in last night's show. I suspect he's being set up. Interesting, Patty. Huh. Do you have a individual in mind? The initials? Yeah, good evening, Pearl. There's the link to the video if you want to check it out. The beginning of the call is at the 32-minute mark. We're at the 39.
That's what you use to get somebody off.
Right.
Believe it or not, touch DNA
Mr.
is
Science
used for a
online,
defense
too.
attorney 99.9% of the time, not for arrests and convictions.
Shit, I gotta put that
Unless
over
you
the
could show
initials.
touch DNA across multiple victims, touch DNA is always used in a defense to get a wrongly convicted
Oh,
person out of
shit.
jail.
Right.
And these lawyers and stuff, they know that. They should know that.
Shit's funny as hell.
Whoa. I don't know why that dropped. Hey, Tony, if you're listening in, I'm not sure what happened.
I want the poor kids that have been murdered like that. I don't care who did it, why. I'd like to see that person brought to justice and chopped up.
Right, exactly.
It's just horrific, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
I also, and part of being American is questioning authority. If nothing else, I mean, that's the reason we're here. We don't just blatantly trust what the government tells us.
Amen to that, brother.
We're not robots. So, all right, yeah. So I'm glad I was able to get through. Glad your phone worked, and yeah, I definitely love listening to your show.
Thank you so much, Tony. Have a great day.
You too.
How about it? Now it's been hung up the appropriate way. Elena, how's it going? Truth and Transparency. How you doing?
What's up? How are you?
Doing good. Just kind of going through some news that I found about a coworker and kind of talking about the most recent stuff. What do you think? Do you think that the DoorDasher was a man, or was it the woman, or somebody else?
Wait, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Sorry, I was into a better location.
Oh, no problem. I asked you, what are your thoughts on the DoorDasher? Do you think it's the female? Do you think it's possibly this man that's being reported now, or do you think it could be somebody completely different?
Yeah, it was a pretty
I
interesting
mean,
way
if you want to believe it
to
or
end
not,
the conversation.
Emma Bailey told
Yeah.
me personally through that Smart Connects that she did not DoorDash at that house that night. Again, you can believe it or not, but that's straight from her mouth. Well, her
Right.
fingers, I guess you could say.
So she
And
talked
so,
to
yeah, I
Emma.
don't believe that it is her with that. And Demetria said he's never been to that house, her boyfriend, or
Right.
whatever they may be. And that there's a bunch of crazy crap. The white stuff that was tested was bee pollen.
Bee pollen.
He is an avid user of bee pollen. Again, I've never taken bee pollen. I have no idea. I looked it up. It's weird.
Right? That's
Don't recommend it if you're allergic to bees. But I guess if you can like lose weight over it, you can. So as far as like the DoorDash goes, I think it's interesting that it's been able to like be hush hush for this
Right.
long. But I don't think that it's Emma. But I will agree with what you kind of said earlier, that it's interesting about the MOs that could possibly, if you're thinking that it is Brian, to comparing like MOs, I would find that there is an interesting correlation with somehow luring people or taking them and making them seem like, they've gone missing and then they're dead. So as far as was he trying to take one of the roommates upstairs out and there was two actually in the bed and it led to what it led to? I just think that leads to too much of a perfect storm type of scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's my issue with, people saying that he went in there to only kill somebody upstairs. And then when he came down, was encountered by Xana. And that's what like led to, the two people. That's what kind of like Dateline was saying with Jen Coffendorfer. And I just find that to be like, I said, then what? That means Emma or Xana had to run wherever they would have encountered each other, which would have been right there at the end of the steps, because he would have just been turning left to go through the kitchen out the door. So how does he kill them then in the bedroom? So then he would have encountered her where? You know what I mean? And then he chased her into the bed. You know what I mean?
Right, right. And that's one thing that kind of that that bogged my mind too. One thing that makes me believe that there wasn't anything um that happened outside of that bedroom was the fact that, well, I strongly believe that people were aware as early as 10 a.m. You know, and my
Yeah.
thing is, if people were aware at 10 a.m. of the situation or of something happening and police weren't called, why wouldn't that have happened, right? And to me, I can't fathom somebody going into that house and seeing blood everywhere in the common areas that you can be at and not call 911.
Right.
My only thought is that perhaps, they heard something like it sounded like somebody, what ended up eventually being, and they told people like, hey, we heard something. It sounded like somebody was, getting their life being taken. Can you come over and help us? Whatever, right? And they get there and they can smell what's going on, but they can't get into the doors. My assumption is that Koberger locked the doors as he walked out. And so maybe perhaps that's why it took them so long to call 911, is because they were trying to get into the bedrooms. I mean, if you go and look, and we brought this up last night, if there's that ladder
It
on the
makes
side of the
sense.
house,
It makes sense.
and up on that ledge, there's a distinctive fade in the dirt, where to me it appeared that somebody had recently slid up or off of that ledge. It's very clean in that area. You can kind of see footprints. My thought is that they couldn't make entry into that door, and somebody used that ladder to climb up on that ledge to try to make entry into the window, or to at least try to look into that window that leads into Santa and Ethan's room. And
after the fact.
Right after the fact. While between the time that they were waiting, while the crowd was there and the discovery of the bodies, I think that's when that had occurred. I don't think that was part of the break-in or any of those things. Not anymore. Initially, based on like some of the things that police were saying, they didn't know if it was a window or the back sliding glass door, and then you have, that window being one of two windows that you can probably have access.
I mean, I even thought from the beginning that, hell, when they were doing those local news clips where they were showing from behind the property up on that hill, you could see there was cinder blocks sitting there. It wouldn't have taken, especially BK with how tall he was, it wouldn't have taken nothing to stack them cinder blocks up and vault yourself up on the frickin' deck and go right through the door. And Pearl, yeah, you do make a good point. Very good point. Because we did watch the body cam of the DUI. And I don't know DoorDash's rules, but I would probably assume the same thing. So that's a good point. Will be a deep dive on. Again, Unseen. Good points on crime lines today.
Too, from outside. The other one being going into what's her name? Dylan's room. And so that didn't make much sense. If he would have entered through there. But going back to everything else, we had looked at that and we thought, it clearly shows or looks like somebody had recently been on that ledge. So my thought, once we found out how, more information, me and the boys started, putting our heads together, and we started thinking that maybe perhaps that was an attempt to get into that room after the fact, by one of the persons in the crowd, and that it took them a while to make entry into that room, or whatever the case may be. And then they discovered the bodies, and, all hell fell loose. And so that's my kind of train of thought. But I would assume that if they saw, blood in the hallway, in the, anywhere there, that they would have called 911 at that point.
Yeah. It's 100%. I mean, that's 2 hours. I mean, that's kind of what Dave was saying. Like, they knew beforehand. and that's a long time, like before the
Yeah.
cops. And it's not just, it was like, okay, we knew like 15, 20 minutes, like in a panic. You know, one of my callers called in, and I really liked that. She said, you know, if I would have seen something like that, I would have been running from, like, I would have freaked out and ran out of the house, because I wouldn't have known if the perpetrator was still in the house, like when it all like when it was happening, like to see all that, like why wouldn't they think that the person could still be inside?
Well, yeah, and plus we've heard that it was frickin' sloppy.
Right.
So here, let me go give you a sub real quick, and I'll share your channel, Unseen. Give me 1 second. Yeah, if there's any other creators in here too, and I don't know that you're a creator, let me know, because I like promoting others here. Give me 1 second.
Who's that, CJ?
Unseen. All
Oh,
right.
okay.
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go ahead and finish playing this while I throw that up there real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And be like, when you saw that you would run out screaming, you know, and then everybody
Right.
would kind of be like outside, versus telling people to come over when you know what I mean?
Right.
So I thought that was interesting, you know, especially for like females, like your natural reaction would be like, oh my God, to run the hell out of there. Like, who's to say like the person's not upstairs
Right.
doing that?
Right.
Like if you saw Xana and Ethan first, you know, that they weren't upstairs, and you know, you would be running to get the hell out of there. So I thought that was interesting, and that everything would be gathering outside versus nobody would be able to go in the house. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, nobody would be wanting to go in the house, or inviting people to come to the house and come in there if you don't know that somebody could be still in there. So I thought that was interesting. And then I liked what you said earlier when I just jumped on. And what was it that you were saying though, or that you were talking about? God, it just went out of my head. Damn it, I hate that.
The Jack in the Box stuff.
It wasn't the Jack in the Box stuff. It was. Oh, I know what it is. It's the phone. That they didn't have enough to get. How are they getting Brian's stuff? Like his historical data. Like, I'm right with you with that. Like, that's why I kept on saying, like, how do you get to Brian Koberger? How do you get to him? Because I can't wait as just like a person that's likes to like study and research stuff. I want to hear this. I want to hear how this investigation went down, because the way that they would have gotten to Brian Koberger, if he is the person, like, these FBI agents and police officers should be commended, because there is like no link. You know what I mean? Like, how did you do this? How were you able to do this? And honestly, do it quickly if you think about it. You know? So I want to hear about the investigation. I want to hear how you got from A to B to C to D, because how are you able to obtain these search warrants? How were you able to do all of this? Like, hey, we're just going to try some random person that didn't, like you said, didn't ping during the time of the crimes. And
so for me, I still feel that the way I feel that they got Koberger, they got his eyebrows or whatever, you know, on the 29th. I think they looked at the citation, they got his phone number, and they tried to match his phone number to the numbers that they had on the search warrant for the tower that was closest to the residence.
100.
And when it came back that it wasn't there, I think they actually stopped looking at him, to be honest with you. You know, I think maybe
so that's what I would say too.
I think they've kept kept him at arm's distance. But I think when he went to Pennsylvania, I think law enforcement thought he was fleeing, and I think that's why they were like, "Oh shit!" You would
think that for Christmas break, and he's from Pennsylvania,
because he didn't go the normal route to Pennsylvania. You get what I'm saying? So he went a different route because he was trying to get around the weather.
I mean, that's some serious eyes on him if he's not the guy.
Right. Well, they really didn't have like eyes on him. I think that they went back to check on him
to know what route he took.
Well, he went through a license plate reader in Colorado. And so that's what kind of got him on that track. And then he was
Yeah.
pulled over twice in Indiana. You know, I think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
by that point, they probably felt that he was going back home by the time the Indiana stop was. But, you know, at the same token, you know, I understand given the time of year or whatnot. But he left, and he's a guy that they were at least looking at. And so my assumption is that they probably looked at, you know, other cell towers in the area and saw that
Yeah.
his phone turned off completely during that time. And, you know, I think that's what they said. All right, you got a guy whose phone turns off during this time. He's not connecting to any of these towers in the area. And, you know, let's look at him a little bit. And they tried to articulate the fact that he was a criminologist student and that he would be aware of how people could get tracked using their phone, and that he may have turned off his phone. And so they got his historical data because they stated that they believe that this type of crime was a crime that took planning and surveilling, and that usually when criminals do that, they don't turn their phone off during that time because they're not turning off their phone. And so they believe that they would have found evidence of him being around that area prior to the incident. And so I do think that all kind of lines up together. I just don't think it's enough. You know, I don't think it's enough. You know, the fact that he matched the height, weight, description, and build of what Dylan stated, and that he had a car that they themselves said was they had like 22,000 vehicles in the area that could have matched the description of. And then, you know, you have the fact that his phone was off during the commission of the crime. I think that might be the biggest piece to help you get a warrant, but I don't know. I don't know if that was in there or not. It wasn't in the PCA that they used. They said that he didn't connect to the towers that were closest to the house between what was it, 3 and 5, but it could have been also the fact that he turned his phone on at 4:48 a.m. Maybe that did show up because he wasn't that far from that house. He was probably about 5 miles away.
Yeah.
You know, because they were looking at that window.
It depends. Also, for like if you're really like honing in on that whole white Elantra,
Right.
that you should be having that immediately. You know, so that you know, like, okay, well, we're interested in this white Elantra, but we're not going to be telling anybody, you know, that we're interested in this white Elantra. So you have that in your back pocket. So when you would have come across him, I'm just curious of the whole, how soon. I want the paper trail of when they actually found his white Elantra, and they said that it was just chilling in a parking lot, you know, over there where he lived, and that it was, it came across by the, you know, security kind of.
Right, because I mean,
there.
They were according to the
give Payne.
Right. Well, according to the PCA, Payne got it by the 29th of November. Now, the warrant that they got for his phone pings didn't come in until December 23rd. They applied for the warrant the same day that they got it. Now, looking at doing a background on Brian Koberger shouldn't take that long to know that he is a current TA in criminology. With a going for his PhD in criminology. It wouldn't take long to figure out that he was in DeSales University prior to, and that he had forensic computer forensics or technology forensic courses and things of that nature to determine that he's a likely suspect based on those things. It shouldn't have taken that long. So to me, that leads me to believe that they were on to somebody else. And you know, that Howard Bloom Airmail article kind of points out that they were pretty excited about the car. And
so do you think they were looking for somebody else for so long until... What's up, Carol? Thanks for hopping in. You had some really good points on panel today, too, on CLL. I want to say thank you. I appreciate those. It was a really good listen. I didn't get to hear it all, but it was a great conversation. You and Unseen up there. Great points today. You know, with them not even catching on till December, Do you think they were looking at somebody else, or they just didn't know what the hell was going on? I thank you for that, Pam. I appreciate that. Yeah, trust me, ever since I started my show, I'm probably the one that promotes the most, and I want to thank SRB for throwing up a lot of those links when I'm not able to. I appreciate that. Are you still there, Cube Kitty?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm eating, so I didn't want to make noise.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like they didn't know who the fuck it was, but do you think they thought maybe it was somebody else? What do you guys think in chat? Do you think they thought maybe they were on the trail of somebody else and then switched it up to BK? I think they just didn't have a fucking clue.
I'm so confused anymore about this whole case.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think anymore.
There's so much shit coming out the last couple days, you know?
There is.
Well, I mean, yeah, and then you got News Nation and shit and fucking all these other national media. I had to make another highlight about that shit. It's just like, it's just getting to be too much. They need to slow down. They need to chill out. It's reckless is what it is. You know, you could literally taint a freaking jury just from the shit. That's why we got to be careful. We're reporters on, even though we're YouTube channels, we're reporters, and we have to approach it that way too. We have to be respectful about the information and what we say because we have a platform.
I think we're just going to have to wait for the trial to find out everything.
Well, this was something else that was brought up earlier today too. What do you think? What would you think if when October came up, he confesses to everything?
I would be shocked. I don't see him confessing to anything.
And Patty, that's maybe a good point. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
What's that?
No. Finish what you were saying.
I don't see him confessing because hypothetically, maybe he didn't do it. I'm just saying hypothetically. Maybe he didn't do it. That's why he's so confident he's going to get exonerated. I don't know. But if he didn't do it, why wouldn't he say who did? If he knew.
Didn't you see that sleuthy goosey post about what exonerated means?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, look at this. Read this. And here, let me share her Twitter again. Oh my gosh.
I mean, maybe he thinks he's... I don't know. He just seems very confident.
All right, so... All right, so not guilty doesn't necessarily mean anything. It means the state didn't meet their burden of proving guilt beyond all reasonable doubt. We haven't heard BK say he's not guilty, but we have heard him say he looks forward to being exonerated. Just a thought. Exoneration a person who has been exonerated if he or she was convicted of a crime following a post-conviction re-examination of the evidence in the case was relieved of all consequences of the criminal conviction and either declared to be factually innocent by a government official or agency within the authority to make that declaration, or two, received, and I don't know the rest. But it's basically saying you're convicted of a crime, and then after the conviction, there's a re-examination of the case, and then they let you go. So
Oh, okay.
he's not saying now, and this is what we were talking about in the beginning. Does he not know his fucking words? Was he using a big word he didn't know the real meaning? Or did he know the meaning of the word and this shit is strategic as hell? And with what he was studying, he would have to know. This would have to be one of the basic definition terms you have to learn in order to get a first test, you know? Like it's one of those terms. He would have to know. So then if he would have to know based off of what he's going to school for, well, then he knows what he's saying when he's telling you, I'm ready to go back, exoneration.
Right.
Is this a game?
Yep.
Did he? Now, when we were covering the Henrietta horror case, right? We found out that all those letters that he had written to the underage victims and stuff, right? Even Holly. We found out that they really didn't read much of them and they don't. So then you apply it to this, and maybe he didn't go see BTK in prison because the reporter only asked BTK if he had been visited by Koberger. He didn't ask him if he had written him. So who's to say that they weren't in cahoots and they weren't having some kind of dialogue through the letters that probably nobody even looked at?
So do you think BTK was grooming him on how to go about it? If they were in contact?
I'm just saying you're under a professor where one of the requirements is for you to read her book. It's about BTK. She wrote what'd she say, I think, in one of these interviews? It took her 5 years to write the book. So that's 5 years of sitting down, whether it's through face-to-face, through phone, or through letters. You're conducting interviews because you're writing an autobiography of BTK. So then one of the requirements is for your students to read your book. So you're really learning who the fuck BTK is. And not only are you studying under the professor that wrote the book, you're studying under the person who has the closest connection and access to BTK.
Right.
You don't think BTK would... Maybe BTK might get a letter from Joe Schmo and he'll look at it and be like, yeah, I'll read it in a month or two or something. But you get a letter from hi, I'm a current student under such and such, and then you don't think that would spark his interest? Especially if that person would have said, I would love, I mean, hell, I would love to hear da 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 da, and then that somehow can allow BTK to live in existence in two places where he's the one that's manipulating BK, but he's also sitting back and incarcerated. I don't know. It's just crazy shit. There's so many connections with it.
Right.
It's going to be interesting what she has to say in the trial.
Do you think she'll testify?
She'll have to.
Yeah.
I mean, he studied under her.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why she don't give interviews and hasn't since his arrest. Because she can't. Because anything that she says in these interviews can be used against her. Because you know they're going to ask her about either one of them. You know what I mean? They're not going to ask her what her new book is, and if they are, well, then she's just promoting her new book or whatever.
Right.
But you know, if they ask her about either one of those two individuals, you know that can be used against her in court. So she can't say nothing. That's why she's turned down all the interviews. And I think that too. I think he wanted to be one of the, you know, you already heard about how egotistical and self-assured and all this other stuff, you know, higher inflated sense of worth. You know, the way that he would, hell, you heard about the stories from other classmates of how he would act in classes under Catherine, how he was talk over her during class. Always
Right.
talk like he was smarter than she was. He knew more. Maybe he felt like he was the one doing the manipulating, but really, the dude that brought his cell phone with him and turned it off 5 minutes after leaving, if he really was going to commit the crime, was actually being manipulated himself. Because you know, just watch BTK's confession, and you could sit there and be like, yeah, this dude could manipulate any fucking person out there. The way that he looks, the way that he talks, the way that he keeps himself reserved, talking about some gory fucking shit, and this dude's talking like he's talking about making a banana split. So calm. Oh, I bet he will. I bet he will. Right? Yeah, he was. Totally true. That's a good point. When he got pulled over, when that new body cam that we saw, where we saw his whole face, you know, where he was by himself in Moscow. And how when the cop came up to him and he, you know, he was just talking, well, I'm from a rural area and we don't have crosswalks, and you know, da 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 da. He definitely worked it out of getting a ticket because he just got a warning. And then he even ended, he was, you know, he even was calm and collective, was respectful, you could tell. But he had that damn dead stare in his eyes still. Yeah, that shit was chilling. Yeah, I'm from a rural area in Pennsylvania. We don't really have crosswalks. I mean, I don't know. It was just, yeah, he definitely took control of it. And she also kept control of it as well. But he definitely worked out of it, you know, at the end of it. I'm sorry if I wasn't. I was just, you know, asking a lot of questions. I just wanted to make sure. So. And that was the same time when he first pinged at the crime. Not when the crime took place, but the house. That was around the first ping. So yeah, that's on exoneration. So do you think he's playing a game from the get-go?
Well, now it seems like he is.
So he's basically telling people, I want to get back as soon as possible so I can be convicted of a crime, and then you guys are going to let me go and I'm going to walk free. So that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get back, and while he's in PA, I can't wait to get back to Idaho so I can get convicted of this crime and then get set free. And I heard a good point too in a live today. I was visiting a lot of lives today, supporting, and one of them, there's the ninja. You would think he can't be, but unseen. Why in the hell would he turn his phone? Why would he, if he's going to commit this crime? Because I feel you. Trust me, I feel you. I'm like, dude, you studied this shit, you know? Like, you even heard from his classmates how serious he was about his school projects and shit, you know? Like, he was even saying, like, yeah, dude was serious. Like, I better not mess it up, you know? So he was, like, dead serious about, you know, the perfection. So you would think that he would be that damn smart, but why in the hell would he leave with his phone and then shut it off 5 minutes down the road? You know? Why wouldn't he shut it off inside your fucking house? Like, what do you're gonna show your phone fucking leaving? That's what I don't understand. If you're that
maybe
smart.
Maybe he was so hyped up about what he was about to do, he forgot all about the phone part until the.
But that's where the whole planning of it comes in, you know? Like, if you're really studying all this shit and, you know, you're like, you know, I can't wait to get back so I can be exonerated, like I'm playing mind games and shit. Well, then how in the fuck are you not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get where you're coming from, Kitty, but at the same time, it's like, look, if you can fuck up one of the smallest fucking things, well, then how? Right, that's what I'm saying. So what you're saying, so what you're saying, Unseen, is that he did this shit on purpose. So instead of us talking about how the phone was shut off at home, we're talking about how his phone was shut off 5 minutes after he left. Is that what you're saying?
Point.
Like, he did that shit on purpose? So this brings up my next question. Since that's what you're thinking, I got a question for you. All right, I'm going to get rid of that, and that. All right, I got a question. So if he did this on purpose, right? If he did this on purpose as part of the story, And I think this is where you're going unseen. Let me know if it's not. All right. So if he shut his phone off 5 minutes after he left his house, right? So then, because there's two routes. All right. Let me throw up the King Road back up there and I'll take out the rest because I do need to have the King Road up there because that is the alternate route. All right. So let me put this as a destination. Okay. So there's two routes, right, that you can take unseen. Okay. So if this was part of the story, I would like to know your opinion on this part.
CJ,
Yeah.
we can't see it.
Oh, shit. Hold on. I think that's what it is. My internet cuts out and it doesn't register me switching shit sometimes. All right.
There you go.
Okay. So I put up this airport right here because this is one of the routes that you can follow along this road up here. Here, I'll just put this as a destination. There we go. All right. So there's two routes that you can take to the crime. Two routes that you can take to the crime. Okay. So if he did this on purpose, where he left his house and purposely said, okay, this is the beginning of this little riddle. Okay. So I'm not a fool. I didn't make a mistake shutting my phone off 5 minutes after I left because my mind was going like this. I did this shit on purpose because I know by what I was studying in Pullman, I know that my phone is going to tell a story. So what I'm doing is instead, because, right, I'm going to commit this crime, okay? Wouldn't you want to be stealthy and strategic? So if you were trying to be stealthy and strategic, well then why wouldn't you go the route? Because look, you leave this apartment building right here and you got two choices. You got two. You're leaving your apartment building and you can go right or you can go left. Now, if you go to the right, you're just going down a couple blocks and then all of a sudden you hit a bunch of rural frickin' land. Ain't nobody gonna see shit, notice shit, probably ain't even anybody on that fucking road at 3, 4 in the morning, right? Most people are probably asleep. Ain't nobody gonna notice shit on that road if you're trying to be stealthy and strategic. So then why wouldn't you take that route? Because then you can come through here and then you can basically barely get into the city of Moscow and take a quick right and go right to the crime scene from here. But instead, you go to the left. So when you leave your apartment, you don't go right the quiet way. You go to the left. You're going down a whole bunch of neighborhoods, a whole bunch of streetlights, a whole bunch of cameras, because you saw all the cameras they have on these light poles in this city. It's crazy. You go by all these light poles. You go by these big stadiums and coliseums and a stadium and all of the. I mean, look at the university. You're like 4 blocks from the university, the Museum of Art. You got all of these different, right? And you're going to go this way, right? and you're going to go down this road, and then you're going to head to frickin' Moscow, because this route right here is the route that they're stating that was taking place. Okay, so this brings up my question to you, Unseen. Do you think that the reason that he left his apartment and didn't go to the right to take the safer route to commit the crime, he instead went left, and when he went left, he was caught on surveillance at this intersection at 244. Do you think, Unseen, that BK, because this is the route that he took right here, do you think he stopped at Brent Kopaka's residence? Because Brent Kopaka's residence is right here. Now, it was at 244 when his car was caught on surveillance on this camera. There's 3 cameras here. Right there. Right there. Right there. Do you think he stopped by to pick up Brent Kopaka, and that's why he went left instead of going right, which was the safer way? So let me get to chat here. Sorry, I'm working on mobile hotspot tonight, everybody, so I don't get my chat feed up like I normally do, so I got to make sure. All right, so I don't see a map, so I know I'm where I need to be. That's what I'm thinking too, Unseen. I was talking about him being like a transformer, studying different SKs. I'm going to take what this one got away with. That's my right arm. My other one, my left arm. Ooh, this case, left leg. Ooh, this right leg. Like, I'm going to be the best SK out there. I'm going to be the most smartest. I'm going to be the most strategic. What's up, Jinx? The sheath is key. I don't see it. You know what? They tossed it, Patty. They ain't using it. They're like, nah. You can't have the touch DNA. SRB brought up a great point the other night. SRB thinks they might have the knife. And you got to think about this. It was a great live with what's the 411 with Jay. She was looking up reviews on the K bars. A lot of interesting reviews. And I saw SRB in there too. You know, I want to thank all you guys for showing up in these other creators that we promote when they go live and stuff. Even though I can't say hi to everybody because I'm working, I do hear about you, you know, from the host, and I do see you guys chatting, even though when I look over, I see it, but I really can't, you know, I'm not available to type. It makes me feel good that you guys are there to support all these other people that we support. So I want to thank you all for doing that. But SRB has a great theory. I can't wait to have her back up on panel so we can go over it again. is the last show that we did on Tuesday night. When you see her pop up, she gets right into it. The audio is a little crackly, but it's okay. So I'm interested to hear what you think. I don't, because I think he's fueled by adrenaline and the thrill. I don't believe he would want to share this event with anyone. And I don't think he would. I don't think he does. But I think he would if he was like, you hear about the students, that did projects with him. They were fine doing the projects. It's just they knew they better bring their A game when it came to it, because he wasn't messing around about not, having a good project. So I think if he felt that he was like the manager of possibly other people involved, then I think that, if there was a subservient role to a manager type where that, okay, I'm a team member, I'm not a manager, your role in each spot, I think a teamwork would work out, if when it came to doing stuff with others, it would be like a school project to him. He would just have a protege. He would look at them like a protege. So I think then he might be able to work well with others. But I definitely hear what you're saying. Doesn't sound like a stalker who planned what he was going to do that night. He would be so... it sounds like it was reckless already, with the 3-point turn that didn't take place, and all the driving around and leaving the sheath behind, and shutting your phone off 5 minutes after you leave and not while you're at home. And instead of going up north back to the quickest way possible, you leave going south, which is like 3 to 4 times as long as it takes for you to just get back home as soon as possible. So a lot of it seems like it was either very, very freaking strategic, or it was very, very chaotic. Like shit was just, all over the place. Oh, Grandma's birthday.
Whose birthday?
SRB's grandma.
Well, happy birthday.
The flip side of my theory is that he just became overcome with his obsession and said the time is now, and then he was in the middle of it with no plan. Yeah, overconfident, and then all of a sudden, when it came down to it, it was a lot more than what you thought it was going to be. But here's the crazy question, Unseen. You saw the survey questions. The survey questions would have had to tell him a whole bunch. So if he had all those survey questions, well, then you think he would have, depending on how many people participated in it, we don't know that. That would be an interesting thing to find out, is how many actually participated in the crime survey thing that he did. I'm trying to look it up right now. I'll share it with you. Let me see here. Here it is, crime survey questions. So here, you can have this for your guys' records. This is the Reddit post of his crime survey questions. You definitely got to read them, because it's like, okay, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I have to look at it like, man, You should know more than anybody because I ain't never asked nobody these questions. Not these ones right here. But this shit, like, how was your life right before the crime occurred? Did you prepare for the crime before leaving your home? Please detail what you were thinking and feeling at this point. How did you travel to and enter the location the crime occurred? After arriving, blah, blah, blah. You go down to the part where, before leaving, is there anything else that you did? How did you accomplish your goal? Please explain what you were thinking and feeling. After committing the crime, what were you thinking? Over the past 2 weeks, how often have you been bothered by any of the following problems? Feeling nervous, anxious, or on edge, not being able to stop or control worrying too much about different things, trouble relaxing, being so restless that it's hard to sit still, feeling afraid as if something awful might happen. Like, it's just a lot of these questions are, how did you commit the crime? Like, just, you're basically asking these people to fess up.
Well, another thing is, do you think he did those questions for his own personal self?
Yeah.
Like a checklist. Like a
It's
I can't think of what it's called. But maybe
It's
for
like-
his own self.
yeah, it's like what me and Unseen are talking about. Like when I say transformer, I'm saying the dude, like, his helmet was all of the fucking knowledge that he was like picking up, whether it was studying under the professor, having access to BTK, learning all the the LE side, learning the freaking crime side. Then you're not only doing that, but you're also having the survey, which that's another part of knowledge. Like, you're like, I felt like he felt like he was getting all this freaking knowledge, so that was his helmet. And each SK that he was studying, because you got to think about it like this: he had to been taking little parts. Every serial killer he was studying was caught. So what does he do? He looks at what they got caught with and what they didn't get caught with. And so he's probably thinking, oh, okay, the Ted Bundy got away with this shit, but he didn't get away with this shit. There's my left arm. Okay, BTK got away with this shit, but he didn't get away with this shit. So here's my right arm. Like, I'm taking all this fucking knowledge. This is my knowledge, which is my helmet. Each one of my limbs is like each serial, and then I'm going to become the most strategic, prolific fucking, they're never going to catch me. And if they do, I'm going to have at least one more than BTK. It was almost like, like trying to beat Jack Nicholas for all of the trophies or whatever the fuck, like, you're just one away. He probably felt like if he got one more than BTK, he would then become, in his mind, the ultimate. And that's just a crazy ass theory that I have. I don't want people, but that's what I'm saying. Like he thought like he was getting, he had all this shit to try and be like the badass fucking, the one that just got one more than BTK.
Right.
All for a singular purpose. Was this recent? This is when he was in PA. I mean, I have a lot of documents. Let me see, what else do I got that I can share with you guys, because they're all kind of all over the place. And I didn't name a lot of them. What's this one? Let's see here. I mean, I got Catherine Ramslin. Let's see, Department of Criminal Justice. Inside Looking. This is a good post to get lost into. What? It's deleted now?
Oh no.
I just went to Inside Looking like 3 days ago. Well, I do remember the episode that I did the read through on the Inside Looking post. That sucks. Well, never mind about that. Anyway. So has anyone found his, or is this... No, I'm not reading a manifesto. Damn, Jinx, what are you coming in here with manifesto talk? No, we didn't read any manifesto. This is just, opinion. Opinion. No.
Oh, Jinx.
No, it was just a crime survey. No, it was basically, and I believe a lot of them, Inside Looking's gone now, right here. I tried to go to it. No, we were looking at his crime survey. Basically, I believe a lot of them were felons that were already incarcerated. Now I'm not for sure, but I'm if I'm remembering correctly, because hell, it was back in January when we were going through this. I believe they were, or maybe they were recently released. Jeez. Maybe they were recently released, but I know they had to do with prior criminals that had committed the crimes. And so they had already done the time, or they were doing the time. And so if they were going to tell the truth, well, and if not, then if not, but whatever. It was basically part of his, schooling or whatever. I can't believe it. Well, I get it. It was his. I don't know. It is crazy. They must have. Who knows? They're getting ready for trial, It's just crazy. It was working a few days ago. All right. So let me get back to this video here. I know we kind of skipped away from it for a little bit, but we're going to finish up the call. It's not long. Actually, let me go to, I think it was Amanda. Here, we'll get back to this call here with, it's kind of cool. They're both on the same show. I'm going to rewind just a teeny bit and we'll listen a little bit more, and then we'll go into the next video. This has to do with Kopaka, the one we're going to next. And then I am going to end the show with some updates on Henrietta, because there's a couple things I want to chat about that I won't be able to chat about tomorrow. So I am going to end the show on a couple Henrietta things. All right. So
well, I'm going to sign out, CJ.
All right. Well, thank you for hopping up. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. I'll catch up on replay on the rest of this.
Well, I hope you have a good night. Good evening. I know it's getting late. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Hope you have a good evening.
You too. Thank you. Appreciate it. If anybody else wants to hop up, you're more than welcome as well. All right. We're going to finish some of this. What a great conversation. I appreciate you guys so much. The way that we can just toss things off to each other, and it's all respectful and peaceful and positive, and we entertain each other's theories and thoughts, and sometimes kind of mix them together. It's great. I love it. Thank you guys.
His PhD in criminology. It wouldn't take long to figure out that he was in DeSales University prior to, and that he had, forensic, computer forensics or technology forensic courses and things of that nature to determine, that he's a likely suspect based on those things. It shouldn't have taken that long. So to me,
that's right. It should.
That leads me to believe that they were on to somebody else. And
yeah, back to the original question. Do you guys think that they were on to somebody else before BK, or they just didn't know what the hell they were doing? I kind of think that they just didn't have any idea with how many times things changed, whether it was from the initial, nobody has to worry, it was a unalive, self-unalive situation, and you're like, who in the hell does that to themselves in an unalive, self-unalive? You know what I'm saying? No, who? Give me a break. The way this shit was changing, I think they were fucking running around with their heads up their ass. That's just my opinion, though. What do you guys think?
You know, that Howard Bloom Airmail article kind of points out that they were pretty excited about the car in Eugene, Oregon, you know, as far as Chief Fry and the rest of the law enforcement. They got pretty ecstatic about that. In fact, they put out that they were looking for the white Elantra on December 7th. They didn't put out another update or anything until December 19th, referencing that Eugene, Oregon white Elantra. And then they had another update on the 20th saying that the Elantra wasn't the one that they were looking for, the one in Eugene. And then the 23rd is when you get a warrant for Kohberger. You know, I think that those things kind of do coordinate, and there's something there. I think that there is something there. And so, you know, that's just, you know, my 2 cents when it comes to that aspect of it.
I don't know how an FBI expert misses the fact that something would be a 2011 Elantra, and then the next, you know, oh, this could be a 2016. Those are very, very different if you're an expert.
Right. No, I agree with you. And it's not even just somebody looking at it with their eyes. They also had computers go in there.
Yeah, they're using the FBI stuff. Yeah.
Right. And so that's going to work well in favor of the defense that they initially came out with that. Yeah, and the fact that the police came out looking for that specific car, and they never put out a picture of the specific car that they're looking for. Like, there's one
they put out stock image. That's you ever heard of something so silly?
Who put out stock image?
I haven't.
Right.
And you know,
I've never seen
makes
that,
a great
Daniel,
point.
And all the stuff I was like looking for it. I was like, when has law enforcement ever not used the actual photo of the vehicle?
Great point.
Right.
If they have it, like, you have this still, whatever you're using, that's what should be, you know, put out there, because maybe there's a dent, maybe there's this, whatever. But to use a stock image, why would you ever do that? And they're gonna have to answer that to me. Like, that's a big question.
Right.
Like, that does not make any sense.
You know, and the thing is, you can kind of get away with being wrong about the image if you put out the right image and somebody can manipulate that picture, clear it up, and show that it in fact indeed is a 2015 Elantra, right? But they didn't do that. They put the stock image, like you mentioned. They put just a random picture of a car, you know, a white Elantra 2011 or 13. And so, you know, it'd be one thing if they put the actual image out there where you can say, this is what we were working with, and this is why we thought it was a 2011 or 13. And, you know, it could be an angle or whatever the case may be, where you're not seeing the front end or whatever the case may be. But
just totally.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a huge, probably deal for the defense more than the prosecution.
You know, I was doing a comparison when I was writing out, okay, here, what got Brian Kohberger arrested? You know, like, if you just like make the bullet points. And I posted it as one of my community posts. I think it was yesterday. And I think I posted like 10, and I said, you know, comment below, and if I missed something that you think, like, what got him arrested? Okay, so what are the top 10 things that, when you look at that PCA, what got him arrested? And then I said, and my last thought was, okay, now what got him indicted? What do you think was added to that, or what do you believe, if you were a juror on that panel, what would you need to see? Because off of the PCA, because remember what everyone's been telling us, you guys, they have way more than the PCA. They have way more than the PCA. Okay, great. So what I'm asking you is,
but off the PCA, there's fucking holes all over that shit, and has been since the very fucking beginning.
Okay, well, what do you think? What would you need to see in order to indict somebody? You know, because if you were part of the grand jury. Well, but I was looking at what the bullet points were, and it's really, really very, very interesting.
Well, there is a saying out there that you can indict a ham sandwich for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't
Mhm.
need that much information or evidence to be presented. You just need 51% of the evidence to tell you that more than likely that this person committed this crime, and that there's enough evidence to go to trial.
Right.
Now,
Right.
for me, in there,
Which
you
would
know, what they're
probably be the
showing
pings.
them, and I'll say this:
The pings.
leading up to the arrest, the PCA probably has about
Kevin.
95% of the information that's out there. Now, there's a lot of stuff that's happened, you know, from the moment that he's gotten arrested to now that we don't know about, and that I'm sure they have a tremendous amount of information on. But leading up to the arrest, to me, what ended up getting him arrested was the fact that he had, you know, you had video surveillance of a vehicle coming from Pullman, Washington, and then another vehicle showing back up in Pullman, Washington.
Right.
You know, around the time frame of the incident, you have it leaving at 2:45 and then coming back at 5. You have a
242.
vehicle that doesn't probably have a front license plate. I'm assuming that's the unique identifier. And so you have a vehicle in Moscow, Idaho, that's arriving between the time that the Pullman, Washington, Idaho Elantra is no longer visible in Pullman. So it's arriving at 3:20 something and leaving at 4:20. And so you also can assume that the direction of travel that that vehicle is going in when it leaves Moscow and it takes this big old circle around, that would be an entry point back into Pullman. So based on that, you can kind of deduce that the person that committed this crime could have been either nice at the bar. Could have been
at the bar. No, that's with all the PCAs. Like, they're just the minimum shit just to get somebody apprehended, you know. They're not going to release all the stuff to us. But we're just saying, when you go off the PCA, there's holes all over it. Yeah, exactly. It's gotta be. With any of these cases, though, shit. Think about Delphi. Imagine how much of that's heavily redacted, and it's been 8 years.
either from Pullman, Washington, or had to go through Pullman, Washington. So you start looking in that direction first. You find a vehicle that matches the description of what Kopaka drove. It had Pennsylvania plates on the registry with WSU at the time. You find out that they don't need a front license plate at the time. You see that it matches the height, weight, build, and has the bushy eyebrows. And you know, you end up looking at his phone records to find out that his phone was off during the commission of the crime.
The ping.
Now, whether or not you have enough there to get his phone records is debatable. But to get him arrested, you find
it's a crazy one. That's
so what if the time? What if the time of the crime isn't when they're saying? Then it's like, then he didn't turn on his phone like right before, or right after.
Right. That's true.
So
but
would they have to?
You
would the ME's report have anything to do with that?
I don't know. The Emmys probably could, based on, you know, if any of them ate anything prior to their passing and how soon they ate, and, you know, things of that nature. But you have a lot of information there that kind of corroborates each other. You have you have Dylan's testimony that says that this occurred about 4 a.m. Probably have her phone, right? My assumption is, you know, Ethan's sister came out stating that, you know, that that Dylan had called everybody in the house after she saw the person with the mask. And so you have, if she said that, yeah, I called everybody to see if, you know, anybody would answer, then you have that phone record as well. And that's probably why they use, you know, Bethany and Dylan's phones to determine the time of the incident, right? And then you have the video surveillance of the white Elantra acting, you know, crazy around that time. Then you have the dog barking, the loud thud, the whimpering sounds at around 4:17. So everything kind of does point in that direction, that the timing of this incident did occur at that time. There's cooperating evidence on top of cooperating evidence to point in that direction. And so that being said, that's probably going to be presented to a grand jury. One thing we have to remember, what's presented to a grand jury is only the prosecution side of things. The defense isn't in there making a defense to anything. They're not objecting to anything. They can't. They're not even there. And so the jury is getting a very one-sided, piece of information, which is why they say you can indict a ham sandwich. And so you see those things, and then you see the fact that he had been in that area 12 times prior to. Now, I understand that GPS coordinates can be unreliable and this, that, and a third, but again, they're getting one-sided information from the prosecution telling them that he was at that house 12 times, and and a judge also getting that information that, hey, he was at the house 12 times. The judge is just taking the information that is being provided as fact. These officers work in something called good faith. And so, you judges and whatnot are to believe what the cops are saying until proven that they're being deceitful, basically. And so they take their, what they're saying is value of gold. And, then you have the DNA from the sheet that ends up matching back up to Kohberger. Now that in on itself, there's been probable cause affidavits that have come forward and stated that, that there could be reasons that it may not be used in court or thrown out or whatever the case may be. But they didn't want the probable cause affidavit to solely be based on that information from the DNA, right? And so it's still in there, it's still in the probable cause affidavit. It may not be the sole reason why they arrested him, using their terms, but it is a reason that they arrested him. And I think that when it comes down to going in and indicting him, I would assume that they're going to go in there and tell them the same stuff that I just mentioned here leading up to the arrest. They're probably going to come back with anything else that they may have found. Perhaps they found, planning of the event. They were banking on a lot, based on the probable cause affidavit. To me, they were banking on finding a lot of evidence, planning of the, after the fact, DNA, planning evidence, surveillance evidence, pictures, stalking, cyber stalking, things of that nature. And so if any of those things were found, like for instance, they took a tower or whatnot, or his computers from his home there in Pennsylvania, and they've gone through them and they're finding, Zillow websites of that house prior to the incident, and he's looking at layouts of the home and following them on all social platforms, looking at geotags, things like that. So he's cyber stalking them. Then that's going to probably be brought out in grand jury. If they found any DNA in the car, that might be brought out in grand jury as well for the indictment. But like I said, you really don't need to put too much information. I mean, honestly, just putting in what you have in the probable cause affidavit should get him enough to get him indicted, to be honest with you. I hope that all made sense. I know that was a lot.
Oh yeah. No,
It made perfect
so I was
sense to
just
me.
like, everything to me is, you're gonna have to really sell it on that time frame. You know what I mean?
Right.
To make everything, like, that's really gonna be like the big part of that. It's Brian Kohberger, is that time frame to match that. That 4 to like 404 to 417, 420 time frame.
Right, 100%.
So I think that's going to be really important. Do you think that an inexperienced person could do the stabbings and the time frame? Do you struggle with that at all, or no?
The time frame in which that it occurred, like from probably around 4:10 to 4:19, about 9 minutes. I don't think that's too impractical, to be honest with you. I don't think
like a jury. It's like a jury. You think they're gonna you think that's just like a? If you were the defense, would you really hone in on that? Like that would be like a thing that you'd want to sell to say. I mean, how does one person do this in 8 or 9 minutes?
Right. I mean, the type of weapon that they're using, a K-bar knife, it's, in my opinion, I think that's I think it's enough time. I mean, if you look at things like in terms of boxing, I mean, boxing are like 2 to 3 minute rounds. And so you're looking at, if he had 10 minutes, anywhere between, 5 to 3 rounds of boxing that you're watching out there as far as time goes. 2-3 minutes is a very long time. I've been in a brawl for a couple of minutes, and it's exhausting and it's exhuming, and time goes by so dang slow when you're in that situation. When you're in a situation of emergency waiting for backup to come, or even if you're like, if somebody's in a medical situation and they're waiting for an ambulance to show, a minute will feel like an hour. And so, 9 minutes to me, honestly, isn't, or 9, 10 minutes, 12 minutes isn't a time frame that is unbelievable, to be honest with you.
What about this part of it? Remember in the Murdoch trial, you actually get to hear the voice on Papa's Snapchat. So like that's actually putting Murdoch like right there.
Right.
For this, the jury is just going to see a car that's driving by. You don't get to see, like, just because that car drove by, how are you going to place him inside? And then, so do you think that's going to be, everyone's just going right to the fact that, since his car drove by, he had to be in that car. You don't even know if that's his car, but then just because the car did drive by, it means you're inside. I mean, how do you, is that going to be hard for the jury to say, yeah, like, what I'm trying to say? Like, that Snapchat video in the Murdoch, that was huge to pin him
Right.
in.
I mean, I think you're looking at the DNA on the sheath, at that point, if they can use it. Now, I'm not sure they're going to be able to. And if they can't.
Yeah, me neither. I agree with you on that.
If the prosecution can't, there's two different sides of the coin, of a coin, right? There's the fact that there is evidence there, and there's the fact that if they can use it. Now, putting aside the statistics and how easy, touch DNA can be transferred over, all that other stuff that a defense attorney would come forward with, him having cells on the buckle snap of a DNA of a sheath is important to me. That's a big clue. You looking at that.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so if I put gloves on, all right, so I wipe down this knife and everything, and I put it and I wipe it all down, and then with gloves on, right? Then I wipe it all down, and I have gloves on when I do the act. How do you think that transferred? If you're using your gloves and you wiped it down, then you're using gloves for the commission. So where do you think it happened that transfer of touch DNA to the sheath?
It could be from a couple of different times. It could have been from prior to, showing up there. Let's just say he held it in his hands and he decided to clean it afterwards and just didn't do a great job cleaning it and left the spot. It could be also a situation where, he may have been, sweating or something, nervous about the situation before he goes in, kind of wipes his forehead and grabs the sheath. And so, it could be there in a multitude of reasonings as to how it could have gotten there. It just so happened to be Kohberger's DNA from somewhere in that house where nobody, at least to our knowledge, nobody has ever seen Kopaka in that house or around or in the parties. According to Dave, he asked his friends who were fraternity students at the University of Idaho as well. He told me that pictures were passed around and that he didn't know anybody that he's talked to that has seen this person in that area or at all. Now, again, his ties to the folks in that home are a little, they're close, but they're still at arm's length. He's not best friends with Xana, Ethan, Maddie, or Kaylee. He kind of knew them, but he wasn't like their best friend. So is it possible that Kohberger could have been, hanging out with somebody else that knew them? He's been there. That's entirely possible.
Who that might be?
That's something I think Kohberger will bring up if he has been there.
Know who that might be.
And then you want to look at the evidence of him being there. So maybe perhaps one of those 12
and then
kings.
You have to say that you think that in order for that to all fly, you're going to want to see body cam of them actually physically finding the sheath, like in order for like pain or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you guys
Is
in
that going to be
chat.
important for you
Appreciate
if
it.
you were a jury member? Like, well, we have all this body cam. You were doing all this work. Where's the sheet?
100%. I would want to see that body cam footage. You're also going to see it on pictures from the forensic team and when it was collected and where it was collected and by who, things of that nature. One thing that I will say though is that I know that there are some people that have put in their report that they were later notified that there was a knife at the door. My question is when was it that they were in that room? Was that before, the person that observed the knife from the door, or was that after? And if it was after, was it also after it was collected? Because, if they find a piece of evidence, if they find a piece of evidence like that, and they're going to bag and tag it pretty quickly, make sure it doesn't get contaminated. They're not going to leave it there for a while, right?
This is a great live today.
Because the longer it's there in the scene and the more people that are walking in and out, the more likelihood of it being contaminated. So you're going to bag and tag that immediately. And so there is the possibility that if officers went in after that fact to go look at this scene, that it is possible that it was after that item was collected. But yeah, you're definitely going to want to see body cam footage of everything and how the scene was initially, the way it looked, and then you're going to look at, you're going to corroborate that with the forensic images that they have as well. And if something's out of place, well, then you got some questions.
They got a lot too. They got a lot.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yep.
It's got to be a lot of video. It's got to be a lot of video. I don't want to be rude because I'm about to eat my
salad here, and I want to be like eating in your ear. But I wanted to pop on. And how's the baby?
Oh, the baby's doing amazing.
All right, I'll go ahead and pause it there. If you want to watch the rest of it, there's still great, more conversation. There's another 50 minutes. It takes a couple more people hopping on. I was thinking I need to do like a night where it's live calls or something, I don't know. It's just hard trying to keep up with all this stuff. There's so much stuff coming out, even just on these couple cases. Politics. Yep. So it was a really good conversation. There's the link in chat if you want to click it and save it to your playlist. Very good conversation that I was listening to. All right, so the next video I'm going to get to, we were talking about Kopaka. And so we have been enjoying, is it going to the video or actual channel? We have been enjoying some, sorry, I'm on mobile hotspot right now because my home internet is like crazy bugging. So I apologize if, hopefully, fingers crossed, everything gets fixed tomorrow. And we'll be having game night tomorrow night. Hopefully. I think I might start it off with a couple, at least one Tales from the Crypt. There's a couple things I wanted to show, but maybe we'll just have a kickback night. I don't know. The games were kind of crazy last weekend. Nothing was working right at all. We can't evolve if we don't explore everything. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what that's what I keep having to type in chat. In some of these chats, man, they're so one-sided, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so what if you don't agree or if you don't think the same thing? Like you got to explore it. How do you evolve? How did the two dudes that were like transporting food, back in the day, sliding shit, and they said, hey, what if we chip off the corners of that square and we made a wheel out of it? No, you need to quit thinking crazy like that. We never would have had a fucking car. So Yeah, it is my internet, man. That's why I'm having a technician coming out tomorrow. It is. I love it. But seriously, it's like I'm in these other. It's like these people are just so one-sided. You know what I mean? Like if they don't agree, then it's like you know what? You gotta chill out, people. You got. How do you evolve? You explore everything. It's that third eye shit. All right, we do enjoy some harsh reality. Now, he came out with a video. He's came out with a couple in the past about Kopaka, but he came out with one. Let me see how old this was. It's only, a day ago. So this is from a day ago. Let me switch the banner. And this is talking about Kopaka. Now, I don't know. I've always felt I just always felt, I don't know, ever since we heard it in the body cam. No, actually, we heard it on the Kim call way back in December, January. It was that first call she did on Drunk Turkey Show. Yeah, the very first one. That's when we looked it up. Because she had mentioned him. And then we looked it up, and yeah, it was true. It was like, damn, he really did. All that shit did go down. But now, lately, since it's been brought up a lot lately, now we're starting to hear like these different theories and stuff. And it is very interesting when you go back to the route that he left. Yeah, this is where Kopaka resided. This is where he was caught on surveillance. Yes. All he had to do was come down this road, boom, boom, right out in front or in the back. And that was at 244 when he was caught on this, right? He left at 242, was caught here at 244. Crime didn't take place until around 4. Could he have swung around, hung out at Kopaka's, and then they got prepared to leave together? I don't know. All right, back to this harsh reality. What if Koberger wasn't working alone? Kind of like what I explained to you there. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out through this mobile hotspot shit.
You beautiful, beautiful people.
Beautiful, beautiful.
This is video 2.
Let me refresh.
Of 2.
2 of 2. Where's 1 of what? 1 of 2.
Well, hello there, you beautiful, beautiful people. This is video 2 of 2.
Huh? Where's...
So if you've only seen... No, if you've not seen any, you've already missed one.
Okay.
So after this video, go and watch it. But anyway, I'm getting straight into the meat and potatoes. And before we crack on with this, I just want to say, look, this is just me spitballing. This is me putting out an idea based on a conversation that I had yesterday. I had a conversation with someone who works and has worked in law enforcement for around 22 years. And he's been following this case as well because he's quite interested in the way in which this has been handled, what he's seen, the information that's come out. And look, at the end of the day, he feels that Brian Koberger has something to do with it. But we spoke about the fact that Brian Kopaka, and look,
it's just weird, Ava. Like, seriously, like, and there's not much information out about it. And supposedly he was by himself in the apartment. So this is what's odd about it. Ellie was contacted because of a hostage situation, but when they showed up, nobody was in the residence. It was just him. That's why some speculate that if BK and him did work together and BK, you know, knew how Kopaka would react during that kind of engagement, that, you know, there's speculation that he had contacted and placed that call. I appreciate you guys, seriously. Yeah, we can all agree. That's right. That's why I call it brain stew. It's beautiful. That's why I appreciate you guys so much, seriously. It's so awesome.
Again, this is just me spitballing. This has no grounding in law. This is not me saying that he did anything, he's involved. This is just me.
Maybe I need like a show hoodie where I just wear the show hoodie. Man, maybe I should. Instead of a hat, a show hoodie. That sounds good.
Off the back end.
Well,
look at Brian Coe.
I don't know, Ava. It's weird when you look into it, and there's not much, but when you look into it, yeah, seriously, there's not much. When you look into it, like you'll see, he was by himself. That's why people are speculating that if these two did work together and BK wanted to get rid of the other BK, he fake called that, knowing that how he would respond in that situation. Because think about it. If he's sitting there at his residence and all of a sudden they're coming through, he's probably thinking his ass is getting locked up forever. And BK, or in the speculation, BK already knew it. So that's one way that he can get rid of the only other person that knows about the crime without even having his hands on it, except for placing an anonymous call from some payphone or whatever. So it's just odd. And then when they're pulled over in Indiana and the only thing they mention is the Pullman, Washington incident about who we're talking about, they don't even mention, which happened the day that they were leaving, but they don't even mention Idaho 4. So I don't know. It's just very, very odd, Ava. If you do find anything, please. Because ever since that WS, and there's a lot of people that talk shit about WSU Kim, I think she is entertaining. I think she, but you got to trust the source and the source of who the source is. You know what I'm saying? You can't take everything and be like, that I'm starting to engrave that shit. No, you can't do that. But you have to take little bits that actually make some kind of fucking sense, like Kopaka. And you got to be like, well, maybe. Yeah, she might have said some crazy ass shit, but at the same time, she said some very interesting shit too. That's just how I feel. I appreciate her making all those calls. Not trying to pin. Nice. What's up, Amber? Appreciate you hopping in. I think the DoorDasher is one that brought attention to the white car. I do too. I think they were the first person, the first witness. I think they were the first witness. Because you can't tell me that the DoorDash driver can't be sitting there at some point and seeing BK going all up, you know what I mean? Like all crazy and shit. Fucking, can't even make a 3-point turn, and you're driving around all crazy. To me, at 4 a.m, I'd be that DoorDash driver, like going, "Damn, that dude is fucking lit. That dude's lit." The dude is lit. First witness. Had to be the first witness. That's why I'm still open to be okay and a connect. Same here. It just, I don't know. Ever since that WS and we started looking into it, because back then, Ava, there was more information out. There was a lot more information out. No. There's a lot more information out. But now it's kind of hard to find. It's just, I don't know. People thought I was crazy back then when I first started. When I looked into the situation and I saw, and then I'm like, man, this started. I'm like, man, this makes fucking sense. And I've never got off of it. Awesome. Well, I appreciate your knowledge coming in, and I hope you appreciate. Just forewarning, I'm working on mobile hotspot tonight because my home internet took a shit, and so I'm having a technician come out tomorrow. So I apologize if it's buggy or anything like that. I'm just going off a mobile hotspot, so I hope it's been okay, everybody. Just skip ahead the first 15 minutes of the show, because then it's really a lot of technical difficulties. Yeah, it's not good. So just skip ahead. All right, we're going to finish up this one. This one is about Kopaka and what his theory is. And trust me, anything that comes out about this, I'm definitely open ears, because I don't know, something just feels weird.
Off the back end of the station, putting this to you. Now, I look at Brian Kohberger, and I don't necessarily see him as being this brutal killer. I don't. And look, some people say Ted Bundy didn't really look like a serial killer or a mass murderer. He looked all right. And then I think to myself, there was always something about Ted Bundy, though. And there was Jeffrey Dahmer, BTK, another guy who stood silent. But you look at Brian Kohberger, and he just seems like an intellect. And there's been some things in the background of what we've learned about him that makes you wonder whether there was something a lot more nefarious about what happened in terms of the Idaho 4 massacre. Now, Frank Kopaka and Brian Kohberger both were at Washington State University. That's where they resided. There has been rumbles and whispers that these two knew one another, interacted with one another. That has not been confirmed. It has only been whispered. But what do we know about Brent Kopaka? We know Brent Kopaka has a military background. And we know that in that military serving, he was put through something that was enough to put him in a position where he suffered from complex PTSD that would later in his obituary be used as an excuse.
Good night,
what led
Jinx.
to his demise.
I appreciate you.
But what actually happened and what actually was his demise was that he held up his roommates with a gun, and subsequently he was shot by SWAT. Now, during this period of time, you would hear that his roommates actually had got away. They'd got away, and he was put down. He'd said something about, "I'm going to kill my roommate," so on and so forth, and he was killed because they seemed to believe that he posed a threat. It was a viable threat, and he needed to be shot. Now, on the other side of it, we have Brian Kohberger, who is someone who is an intellect. People believe that wants to believe that he is the smartest man in the room. He's a clever guy. He's got a lot of years of experience in
You
the
know,
legal field.
Yeah.
He studied crimes. He put out
the helmet of the Transformer character that he thought he was. That's the helmet he's talking about.
something that was asked to come to him to talk about things that they had done, so he could get an understanding
More than meets
of the
the
psyche of the
eye.
criminal mind, what
Transformers.
they went through psychologically, perhaps leading up to a crime, during and after, so he could study that in depth. So, what do we also know? We know the Idaho 4 murders were done in a very, very small window of opportunity.
Yep.
Very small window of opportunity. And it would seem that we, in one essence, we're supposed to believe that the sleeping roommates who survived the attack didn't hear anything. They didn't hear screams. They didn't hear a struggle per se. They heard things, but not enough to put two and two together and think, what's going on? And it would seem that one of these survivors had actually slept through the entire ordeal. And we hear other people who have come out and said that sound does travel through that property. Again, that is not confirmed. There is kind of, we don't know 100%, but there was a statement that was, could something, think about your house now, could 4 people be brutally massacred in it, and would you know about it?
And that's one of the videos we were watching earlier, Amber. Actually, it was the last video we were watching. It was at the very beginning of it, though, the beginning of the show, the Drunk Turkey show. There was a guy that called in and said, maybe, let me see what you think about this, Amber. Said that maybe BK was a driver in a vehicle, kind of, spectating, like you're talking about. But that Emma and Demetrius were the ones that scoped it out and were making sure everybody was gone, and were the ones that went in and committed the crime. So what do you think about that? I believe that the military vet would have been the one that killed the Idaho for done it. That too. What if they were bound? What if the doors were locked? Like, not to the people that were still alive, but what if they just saw blood on the floor, but where the crimes were committed, the doors were locked, so they couldn't gain entry? That is correct. And it wasn't DM, it was a friend. And also, like they were saying earlier in that episode, beginning of the show, if you know how to use that weapon, right? Not that you're going, and I'm not trying to be too graphic. Here, let me throw this up there real quick. Skip ahead about 2 minutes if it's going to bother you. They were actually talking about the knife, and you got to think about this. It's not going to, yeah, it was sloppy, maybe evidence-wise, but it wouldn't take very long, and this is what they were stating when it came to how long it took the crime to take place and how effective it was. Instead of like going through the ribs, you go underneath and up to where it goes underneath behind the ribs into the heart. And it only would take a few jabs. Now, one of them upstairs was already reported, that this was cut. I don't think it was quiet. Right. Right. If you ever, since you follow the case so much, you have great points. If you ever are comfortable hanging out on panel for a little bit, I'd like to hear actually what you think, who was involved. I'd like to hear what you think about how it went down. And I would like to hear about what you think about what took place after the crime when it came to the trip back to PA. And then what he says as he's leaving and what's been taking place. Do you feel like he's manipulating his attorneys? Because they have to represent their client, is he the one that's pushing all of these silent theory? That's what is he the one that's pushing all of this stuff? Yeah, anytime. Just let me know. On Friday nights we do game night, but you know, if anybody wants to talk true crime, we do have a lot of stuff we've been missing out. I probably won't even be able to end it with these. I got to do the News Nation, or should I just make shorts? Nah, we'll do the News Nation. I got to for the Henrietta. There's a couple things. Yeah, you think that he's just manipulating? Yeah. Representing himself, but allowing the public defenders, using what they have to do as their job against it. I'm telling you, I love this conversation, everybody. Seriously, let me take that off real quick. I appreciate the conversation. It's awesome that we can just bounce all this shit off. I love it. Sounds to me like this standing mute is a normal tactic. Really? SRB. Huh. That's interesting too. You know what? I wonder if Ann Taylor studied the defense that BTK had. What do you think about that? Did Ann Taylor study the defense of BTK? It's a good question. All right, let's hear about Kopaka.
Or could that be done relatively silently? And if it had to be done relatively silently, what would it take for it to be done? Swiftness, accuracy.
Yeah.
Would someone who has never done this before have a swiftness and accuracy to do it without being caught, without being heard, without being the sounds of the attack that would rouse other people? Who would you say, if I was to say, who do you think would have that skill? Is it someone who is book smart, or is it someone who is military smart? What do we hear in the Idaho forecast? We hear that there is something saying, "Don't worry, I'm here to help." Is it beyond the realms of possibility that Brian Kohberger had got involved in Brent Kopaka? He had arranged for Brent Kopaka. He had manipulated Brent Kopaka into doing this attack. Perhaps he'd lied to him. Perhaps he'd given him a...
Like, if he did work well with others, it was like his classmates doing projects. He was the one that was in control. They just had to make sure they didn't fuck up. Came from right from one of his classmates. Just had to make sure I didn't fuck it up. As long as it was his way.
Story had bullied someone, they had picked on people, or they were bad people, because he wanted to see whether he could manipulate someone to do this crime. And when it was said that someone was heard saying, "Don't worry, I'm here to help," would it not be out of the realms of possibility that that was in fact Brian Kohberger entering the property in order to tell Brent that he was there to help him?
Whoa! Holy fucking shit! Whoa! Did you guys just catch that? He just said, what if Kopaka was in there already committing the crimes and he didn't say, it's okay, I'm going to help you, to the victim? He's saying maybe it was Koberger coming in saying that to Kopaka, it's okay, I'm here to help you. What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh, I'll play it again, trust me. Wow. And this is just him starting to talk about it. Holy shit.
This attack. Perhaps he'd lied to him. Perhaps he'd given him a story of how they had bullied someone. They had picked on people, or they were bad people, because he wanted to see whether he could manipulate someone to do this crime. And when it was said that someone was heard saying, don't worry, I'm here to help, would it not be out of the realms of possibility that that was, in fact, Brian Koberger entering the property in order to tell Brent that he was there to help him?
What the fuck?
Hear me out.
Fucking crazy.
So, at the moment, we're in a situation where we're hearing that there's potential exculpatory evidence that Dylan Mortensen, she sees someone all dressed in black with a black mask. She doesn't mention that they're carrying a knife. She doesn't mention that they're covered in blood, like yada, yada, yada. We have then Bethany Funk, who claims, or it's you think that she is saying that she saw someone leave the property who was undressed, naked. And we've always said, how would somebody who'd done all of this crime, everything, have gotten out of that house without dragging any form of blood or anything outside that property? We've also questioned multiple times whether one person or two people done this crime. Now, if it wasn't Koberger on his own, but we believe that Brian Koberger could have been involved in this crime,
right?
Again, is it not beyond the realms of possibility that it was, in fact, all along Brian Koberger and Brent Kopaka?
Wow.
Is there anything to support this motion? Now, we know that Brent Kopaka, obviously something was going on that triggered his PTSD.
Just the gut.
Something happened. People with PTSD, they have triggers, and something usually pushes them to an event, and that is extreme stress or anxiety. Something happens that pushes them into it. Now, do you think that being involved in a potential crime of this nature and feeling that things are perhaps getting close to you, is that enough to push you into having an episode? Obviously, there's a confusion.
That's
over
what
the
I was
answers.
talking
Some
about a
people
little
think
bit ago.
white. Some people said that one of these footages that looks silver. It's been rumored that Brent
Right.
Kopaka potentially had a silver Hyundai Elantra.
Yeah.
Again, it might be that they just both drove over there in Brian's and that's nothing to do with it. But what I'm trying to get my head around is Brian Koberger, if he did he do it on his own? Did he have the skills to do it this quick? How did he know that he could get in this house and get away with it? Or was there a lot more planning involved? Was this a bigger thing for Brian? And was it Brian who in fact planted the sheath to stitch Kopaka up?
What?
Is that why it seemed relatively clean? Because it had actually been placed there after the murders, but it was placed there by the person who had come in to help.
What?
Was this orchestrated all along by Brian Koberger? And is this situation that he's in now, does he feel that because they are so hell-bent on pinning it on him
Right.
and him alone, and he
Right.
ultimately knows he didn't do it,
Huh.
albeit he was involved in the background. He was the wizard behind the curtain, so to speak, that he could potentially exploit a mistake because he knows he didn't do it.
Wow.
But all he's got to do is prove that he didn't do it.
Right.
Again, I'm just spitballing.
That's good
Because
shit.
at the end of the day, we have 4 victims. We have
Right.
someone who's prime suspect being charged and about to go to trial,
We just want
who,
to
in
find the
my
right person.
honest opinion,
Whoever
doesn't
it
look
is.
like he could punch his way out of a wet paper bag. But he does, however, look like he could manipulate a room.
Right. Good point.
And when I talk
We went into the stair last night. Come on now.
about things that could potentially bolster this idea,
Yeah.
we also know that there was posts leading up to the demise of Brent Kopacka on his Facebook that were map coordinates. Random map coordinates. He was
What?
starting to spiral out. But as soon as the public got hold of this, the family closed that account down. So nobody could actually access what was going on. But something was happening to Kopaka. Something was happening. 100% OP, something was happening. He was having an episode. There was something that had pushed him into it. Now, could it be complete coincidence? Could it be a complete coincidence that he just happened to have an episode that would end up with him being shot around the same time someone on the same campus had traveled over from Washington to Moscow and massacred 4 people in a military-style execution?
Right. Damn, great points. I'm telling you. Here's the link to this video if you want to watch it again. That was a great fucking video, and it's exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah. Hopefully we get you on panel for your theories. I want to hear more about your shit. Especially, you're going to have to watch the replay, Cassie, especially the beginning. Skip ahead the first 15 minutes because it's a bunch of technical shit that sucked. But you're definitely going to want to hear the beginning about the different theories and stuff from the Drunk Turkey show that we were starting. Very interesting. Man. Yeah, skip them, trust me. Mobile hotspot tonight. All right, I wanted to share something from Brian Enton here. Where is it? I didn't share it. One second. All right. So this is regarding the parents, having to show up for court. Okay. This is from 57 minutes ago. More on the investigative grand jury situation in Pennsylvania. We talked to Dana Smithers' sister. We still don't know exactly why Brian Kohberger's parents were called to testify in relation to the Dana Smithers case. Right? We spoke to Dana Smithers' sister, Stacy. She says she's learned even before Kohberger's arrest that an investigative grand jury in Pennsylvania was meeting and looking into her sister's case and other cases. After Kohberger was arrested, she says the grand jury began looking into whether Kohberger could be connected to her sister's disappearance. She said it became clear he was not connected, and there was evidence he was not in the area where her sister was last seen. So she is hopeful people will continue to be invested in Dana's case to find out what happened. So the stuff about the parents being it's nothing. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. I am going to go ahead and end it. I'm hitting 3.5, and I am on mobile. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to the home internet, even if it's choppy, and I'll just make a couple short videos, either tonight or tomorrow about the Henrietta. If I do, because I did let them know, hey, call me early if you're going to come out early. Maybe I'll try and do a show tomorrow and cover this Henrietta stuff, because there's a couple updates, and I wanted to sit down and play a interview of the aunt from about a week ago. I think it's going to be a must watch, a must listen, because you guys are I think you're going to learn a lot more than what's being reported. And so, but Cassie, definitely need to hear your theories this weekend. Yeah, I got a technician coming out between 2 and 3 tomorrow. We'll see what happens. It was crazy. Like I said, I'm having to go off mobile hotspot tonight, so I apologize to anybody if it's been shitty or anything. But I will be back tomorrow night. Definitely be back tomorrow afternoon, even if it is for a little bit, if I'm able to. I'll definitely put out a notification if I am, because I do need to cover some of this Henrietta stuff. Like, I was trying to do it tomorrow afternoon, but now I got to get the internet shit fixed, so I'll try. Hopefully they come out early, right? Fingers crossed they come out early, and then I'm able to do my show at 2 o'clock when I was going to do a show at 2 o'clock. So good night, everybody. I appreciate your company, your conversation for sure. Great show tonight in chat and about panel. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow night. Hope y'all have peace, positive evening, and enjoy. I'm starving. Good night, everybody.